She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
This is it as Kentucky inbounds. They get it in. The throw to the front. Reeves, three-point jumper. No good. Golke down with the rebound. Maybe now they know where Oakland is. There in the history books. An 80-76 upset victory over Kentucky.
The Westwood One NCAA Tournament Radio. Welcome to the show. Down goes Big Blue, and John Calipari could be going down with them. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Massive upset yesterday, Perloff. I had Kentucky as a Final Four team. Whoops, but I'm the least of the problems for Kentucky. To lose to Oakland, a 14 seed, the last 3 years have just been an absolute embarrassment for Kentucky. We can even go beyond that. To lose to St. Peter's 2 years ago, now to lose to Oakland. Oakland had never won a game in the NCAA tournament, and now the spotlight could not be hotter on the Hall of Famer John Calipari.
We all know it's done, right? It's over. Even if he comes back, it's done. He's never going to build this program back because the very thing he does the best, one and dones, superstars out of freshmen, that is worse now than ever. You cannot win with young guys because, as Jay Wright said yesterday, NIL is going to keep players around in college basketball. You're going to have older and older teams, so Kentucky's going to look worse. So it's not getting better for Calipari unless he completely changes his style and gets the old guys in transfer portal. But do you think John Calipari is going to change his style? He's very much John Calipari. I don't think he likes to take influence from other teams or other people. So I think the thing that he's done the best is get future pros into the program. That is now hurting him more than ever. And it's hurt him the last 5 years, I think. Basically, the superstar freshman he won, what was it, 2012 with Anthony Davis?
Yep.
Feels like a long, long time ago where you could win with one and dones. And now it's even worse than ever because Oakland basically was a Europe team with a bunch of 26-year-olds. I mean, those guys,
old.
That looked like
male part of pattern baldness going on.
That looked like my corporate basketball league in New York City. That is not a team of college kids. That is a team of adults. So Kentucky's going to play older and older teams. Where are you going with Cal? What's the point?
Okay, a little numbers behind this. So the first 10 years with Calipari at Kentucky, 7 Elite Eights, 4 Final Fours, and you did get that national championship. In the last 4 years, have not won an SEC title, has had the number 1 recruiting class, had the number 1, the most prolific three-point shooting team in the history of the program this season, and loses to a 14th seed. As I said, they had never won an NCAA tournament game before. You had a former D2 player come off the bench to score 32 points on 10 threes last night. This was as bad as it gets. Kentucky did not win a postseason game this year, not the SEC tournament and not the NCAA tournament. It is bad. It looks like clouds have formed over Kentucky. But can I tell you, do not have the trigger finger and be so itchy to get rid of John Calipari. This is a decision, if they do move on from him, that I think Kentucky would absolutely live to regret. Here's why. John Calipari might be adjusting to this new, NCAA, this reality in college basketball about guys getting older. Well, he knows talent. You don't think that John Calipari, with all the guys he's put in the NBA, with his status and stature in the league, if he wanted to snap his fingers tomorrow and wanted to just exclusively dip into the transfer portal, wanted to have, say, 1 or 2 freshmen on the team as opposed to at sometimes starting 5 freshmen, you don't think he could flip that switch tomorrow if he wanted to? You cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater here. You have a good coach. I don't know. I don't like the excuses after. I don't like him not taking accountability. There's things about Cal that bother all of us. But basketball-wise and getting talent on your team, guys, be careful what you wish for, Kentucky, because I think you will be devastated if Cal leaves the program.
How could it be worse? What do you mean? Devastated. They just lost in the first round. How could it? What's the downside here?
I think that'd be underestimating what Cal can do. right?
Can do, but he's had a chance. I mean, it's not an itchy trigger finger that all of a sudden they're like, oh, this isn't working with Cal. I think a lot of people, I think he was kind of on the hot seat this tournament, and it went even worse than we expected. The other thing, he gets a talent, and does he coach it well? Maybe it's the freshman's fault because they're too young to be coached well, but I don't know if he's all of a sudden going to change and bring in all these transfers and coach them up and get them out there and be this new team. That feels like a leap to me that Cal could do that. And honestly, did they look well coached last night?
They didn't. No, they
had
did not.
no idea. Oakland went to his own, and they're like, I have no idea. I mean, we're more talented by they're miles more talented than Oakland, and that zone screwed up their really good offense completely.
No, they just didn't have any idea that Jack Golke, the 24-year-old former D2 transfer who goes to Oakland and was unconscious. And listen, I understand that it's been bad over the last few years. I get that. But you have other things that are going to help this Kentucky program, like the G League Ignite going away, which we saw yesterday. There's going to be more talent coming back to college basketball. That is a fact. Oof. And what is Cal better at than anybody? He can recruit you and I to rob a bank. I mean, people just eat out of his hand because he's got the receipts for it. He's been able to put so many guys into the NBA. I think to turn your back on that now, I think would be short-sighted. I would not fire him after this, even though it has been bad the last 3 years. It's been 2 first-round exits to St. Peter's and last night to Oakland, and then a second-round exit to Kansas State. I get it. It doesn't look good. I would bank on the fact that he does have the track record of being a great recruiter and great coach.
Oh, no, you're not going to bring in the G League Ignite kind of players. That's not where we just said he's got to change. And now you want to bring in the G League Ignite guys? Here's the thing. His biggest attribute is he brings guys into the pros, and he goes out on interviews and brags about how much money his guys are making in the pros. Now it's his biggest weakness. People are going to look back and say, you had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you had De'Aaron Fox, and you had Malik Monk, and whatever. You go down the list. And you didn't win anything with these guys. I think you're going to look back at Coach Cal and say, wow, he couldn't win anything with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That is a sign of inferior coaching in a way.
Perloff, nobody stays.
That's what I'm saying. So you want to bring a G League Ignite guy?
I'm telling you, but I'm saying more talent is going to get back into college basketball, and with NIL, maybe some guys stay. Maybe Reed Shepherd, who scored 3 points last night, who's the freshman of the year, maybe he doesn't go to the draft now. Let's see what it would be like if he actually got. I know that there were some older guys who are on this particular team, like Antonio Reeves, but let's just say you actually get one of these guys to stay for 2 years, heaven forbid 3. I know that's not going to happen, but let's say 2. Can we at least see what that looks like?
Well, there is NIL money, and then there is NBA money. I mean, the NBA money being wildly out of control is going to get those guys into the draft, I think. And also, Reed Shepherd, he could say for 2 or 3 years, when he's going to hit puberty, in a year? I mean, come on. What are we doing here with Reed Shepherd? I mean, it looked like a little kid going against middle-aged men last night. Technically it was.
Listen, Oakland's a great team. I don't want to take away from their moment. It's great. They should enjoy it. I mean, their the best shooter last night on the floor for them literally is 24.
Yep.
There's something going on right now in college hoops where because guys can transfer, we still have a COVID year, NIL's bringing dudes back. And I don't know how much NIL Oakland has to give away, but you have all of a sudden this really big discrepancy. Like, we used to laugh about the Chris Winkies and stuff like that, dudes who are super old in college. That's the norm now for some of these mid-majors.
Right, and I don't think that's going to change. So that's my concern with Cal is John Calipari going to be able to adjust to the new reality of college basketball? And the key, ironically, the key to being a great team is don't have players that are too good, which is, doesn't make any sense. But look at my Villanova Wildcats through the years. They did not have top 5 picks, and Jay Wright just dominated the sport in some ways. I just can't see John Calipari doing that. There is a little bit of being in the limelight and getting the top recruit and being connected to LeBron and all the stuff that Calipari has done through the years. I don't think that he can just patiently sit and build a team with fifth-year seniors. It doesn't feel like him to me.
Let's hear from John Calipari. I want to hear from you, of course, 855-212-4CBS. Kentucky loses last night to Oakland, which we all found out is in Rochester, Minnesota.
Oh, we knew it was in Michigan.
I mean, Michigan, sorry. Do I know where it is?
We all found out just now.
What? I'm still learning. Let's hear from John Calipari. Of course, they lose last night to Oakland. This is, bringing up shades of 2 years ago when Kentucky got bounced in the first round by St. Peter's. So it's been double-digit seeds. Let's hear cut 4, please, Pete. He says college basketball has changed, and that's part of the reason why they lost.
This thing here, it's a different animal. We've been able to help so many kids and win so many games and Final Fours, national titles, and all this stuff, win league championships with young guys. It's changed on us. It's all of a sudden it's gotten really old. So we're playing teams that our average age is 19. Their average age is 24 and 25.
Okay, so should Kentucky start to go older?
So do I change because of that? Maybe add a couple older guys to supplement, but that's what these two did. And if Trey doesn't get hurt, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, he's talking about Trey Mitchell. He's talking about Antonio Reeves, who's the 5th-year senior. Listen, you still have, talent. I believe what Cal says here, which is talent will always win over, I think, even coaching at times, not to disrespect coaches, but, Jimmy's and Joe's versus X's and O's, it's been tale as old as time. And I think that Cal has been right to pick talent in a lot of those instances.
But it's absolutely not talent in college basketball. It's experience. It's the exact opposite of what you just said is what I believe. If you can have all the pros in the world, if they do one and done, you are screwed as a program because freshmen and talent is not going to win. Something happens in the NCAA tournament too, where even the most talented players can sometimes get neutralized. The days of Chris Webber single-handedly leading a team to, well, not single-handedly, he had a lot of talent around him, but I don't feel like we get the singular future NBA superstars leading teams that far. Carmelo and Syracuse. To me, maybe I'm missing some guys, but it doesn't feel like you have that top 2 NBA pick leading a team all the way.
Well, Anthony Davis, I think.
That was, 2012,
yeah,
right.
It was.
And Anthony Davis actually was part of it. There were 7 pros on that team. He was probably the best player, but he wasn't alone. You look at Dalton Knecht might be that guy this year. Does anyone have Tennessee in their Final Four?
I do.
You do?
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody else have Tennessee in their Final Four?
Some people probably do, but
yeah, I feel like they're not a super hot team because everyone thinks, they're just a one-man show. Dalton Knecht's a future pro, but you can shut him down in the tournament. If Knecht faces Golke, or what's the guy's name?
Jack Golke.
Yeah, Golke.
Learn the name, Perloff. They're not a Cinderella. So that was the big upset from yesterday. Perloff thinks John Calipari should part ways with Kentucky, and it's over.
I don't want to say fired. Why is that weird that I don't want to say Kentucky should fire John Calipari because he's earned the right to kind of go out on his own terms, but I think it's time to part ways. We had a discussion. Was Jim Boeheim fired in Syracuse? I mean, I feel like once you get to a certain point, you part ways.
Don't you remember how awkward that got at the end? Because Jim Boeheim can't do anything without making it awkward. And I say that as someone who grew up, right near Syracuse. And it's like, there are gods up there. But no, Jim Boeheim's always awkward. Remember, he's like, I'm only acting at the will of the school. And it got really, yes, you don't want that to happen.
Well, Jim Boeheim, of course, inducted you into the Binghamton Sports Hall of Fame.
He did.
Was that awkward?
Extremely. Jim Boeheim's never not awkward. It was a lovely night. He was definitely the most awkward person there. The person everyone was there to see, ironically. So, where were we?
When he inducted
Kentucky.
you, did he have his hand underneath his chin? And he was like, okay, Maggie Gray, long guy, whatever.
Yeah, he gave you like the smile with no teeth. Like this is bad for radio, but
yeah, that's definitely resting Jim Boeheim face.
Yeah, the flat lip smile.
Well, it does seem this generation of superstar coaches. Coach K is gone. Obviously, Roy Williams is gone. Jim Boeheim's gone, and it feels like Cal's gone. These monster personality, bigger than the team, bigger than the program. Everyone knows them. I feel like that's we're losing that in college basketball.
Cal's not gone yet, guys. He's not gone yet. And if I were Kentucky, I would not do it. Don't do it.
Days of being a blue blood seem to be going away. That's the fear here. Maybe he's not gone, but he's 65. He will be gone soon. The next generation of coaches has a different thing going on. Unless Danny Hurley becomes those guys, I don't know. I feel like we're not going to have the superstar college basketball coach. Am I ignoring the young class of coaches? Like, who's going to rise to that level of John Calipari?
Well, I mean, give Danny Hurley some time. He's already got one national title, and he's in his 40s, right?
Yeah, but
50s?
can you see him having 5 number 1 recruits come to Kentucky at a time. I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a thing anymore in college basketball.
Well, on the flip side, you get awesome stories like Greg Campy, who the head coach of Oakland, who is at the same school for 40 years, a lot like Boeheim. Same school, 40 years, first ever tournament win. I mean,
amazing.
Talk about the delayed gratification and the payoff there. Meanwhile, down goes Kentucky, Big Blue. Thinking about our pal Big Dave today.
Oof. Rough day for him.
Rough day for the Warden.
I wonder if he disowns Kentucky like he disowned the Cowboys.
Think about Dave's he's going to be looking for 2 new teams.
Because think about it, Kentucky in many ways, they have been the Dallas Cowboys in college basketball. It's been all this hype, all this, hey, we got all these great recruits, and at least they have at least one championship. But under Coach Cal, they've essentially been the Dallas Cowboys. All flash, no substance when it comes to postseason.
At least they won one.
Yeah, at least they have one, but it's been a pretty big drought
Cowboys,
now since then. And
Cowboys have 3 or more. We know that, but with Jerry Jones,
But I think the one thing I would say you're missing, Maggie, on the Cal and the threat of losing him, as Perloff mentioned, is there's not really much to lose at this point. I think it's a disservice to the Kentucky fans for Coach Cal before this game to talk about how proud he is of the money that's being made, of the draft picks, when there's been absolutely no team success related to that in any reasonable amount of time. And for a guy who's been coaching college basketball for 35 years, have you ever seen a college basketball coach whose experience means so little in clutch, big game situations? Like, you would think, oh, we have a coach that's been coaching for 35 years. Like, he's going to be able to, maneuver us through these scenarios. And yet, whether it's been at Kentucky or even go back to Memphis, it just seems like his experience means nothing in the games that matter, which is so
EJ,
damning as a head coach.
This is prisoner of the moment.
It's not.
When it was 7 Elite Eights, it was prisoner of the moment. When it's 4 Final Fours.
It's a 5-year moment, though.
Well, I'm just saying, you're talking like Cal could never coach. I know that he's always been more talent than X's and O's, but that's not a crime, first of all. And secondly, I mean, you're discounting a Hall of Fame resume when you're just saying that, he blows it in the moment. There's a lot of coaches who blow it in the moment. Andy Reid blew it in the moment for a long, long time. It doesn't mean you're a bad coach.
But as he said, college basketball has changed.
Right.
I think he didn't win championships because, again, when it came to championship games, Elite 8 games, Final 4 games, he also didn't bring any experience. But now it's looking worse because the talent is so much more spread out.
Right.
His players are so much more younger than the guys they're going up against. Also, high school basketball, AU basketball, these guys coming up aren't as good as they used to be. Like, if this was John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, they crush Oakland. He's not getting those kind of guys, and this was an awesome recruiting class. The caliber player in high school is different. The mid-major players are better. You can't win with this kind of guy. And if he says, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to go get transfers and seniors, guess what? He's going to choke with those guys, too.
You don't know that.
Because he's a bad in-game coach, Maggie.
Yeah, I know, but here's the thing. Like John Wall and Boogie Cousins might have been playing against guys who are 25. That wasn't the case either. They were 19-year-olds playing against other 19-year-olds. Like, this is something that Cal's going to have to figure out. But I'm not so sure that those teams wouldn't have also struggled because the experience factor.
But I disagree, because think about those guys I just mentioned, like Devin Booker or Anthony Davis, as I mentioned earlier. Like, those guys went to the NBA next year, and they were dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about the guys, even the good players they had at Kentucky recently. It took Shea Alexander a couple years to be that kind of guy. It took some of these guys at Kentucky, Tyler Hero, years to, you weren't having guys coming in and they're rookie of the year. Kentucky's not had those guys before, and because those guys aren't as good as they used to be.
I mean,
Reed Shepherd is freshman of the year in the nation.
Right, but when he goes to the NBA next year,
he shouldn't go to the NBA
he's not going to be
next year.
averaging 20. John Wall came in and he was a dog.
Okay, but is it John Calipari's fault that amateur basketball and the high school and the AAU and all that stuff is super broken?
Yes, because he is choosing to do it this way. Nobody told him, hey, go out there and get the most NBA players possible. Big Blue Nation wants championships, and he's on a side mission. It's like when you're playing a video game and you got the main storyline and he's on the side mission. He's not even playing the main story.
I get it, but I think both can align. This is a little bit how I feel about Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He feels a very Dabo Swinney-ish.
Okay.
Will not adapt.
And Dabo Swinney's not getting fired, y'all.
Well, yeah, but Dabo won 2 titles at Clemson, for gosh sakes. This is Kentucky. This is not Clemson.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, there you have it. Thoughts on John Calipari. Down goes Big Blue. They lose to Oakland last night, which is in Michigan. Fantastic performance by the Golden Grizzlies.
That's the part I did learn. They're called the Golden Grizzlies. Are there Grizzlies in Rochester, Michigan?
I'm sure. Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
I'm
deal?
not sure about that.
Well, Michigan, maybe not in Rochester, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit, but in Michigan, I think there's bears in Michigan. Yeah.
They're probably but Grizzlies? I have to double check that.
I'm also kind of dubious with the adding a color to whatever animal or thing you have. I think it's kind of a cop out because your name is unoriginal.
But why would you combine golden and grizzly?
Right.
We
There are
can get
no
into that
golden
later.
grizzlies.
Odd choice by the powers
like
that be
it.
in Oakland.
Oh, you guys are dead wrong about this.
Golden
Add golden
grizzly?
to anything, and it's called the Golden Knights.
You get in some trouble, too, if you had
Golden
to
shower. No.
Golden Bachelor.
See, and that was a hit. You
That
love
worked
that.
well. Mike.
Bellotti definitely just cut Maggie saying that.
That can never be. We can never hear that again in the light of day.
You just
Very early in the morning, and I've not
said it.
slept.
You just threw it out there.
You were implying it. You set me up, and I dunked it.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to. It was implied. And the
Meanwhile-
implication was fine in that situation, Maggie.
All right. How about the golden rule? Do unto others as you would want done to you.
Oh, no. That even sounded dirty for some reason.
Okay, we've got more for you. Let's start with John Calipari. They lose again. What does this mean? They lose. Kentucky loses to a double-digit seed. Let me flesh this out a little bit. Embarrassing fashion for them, considering all the talent on this team. Should Cal stay? Should he go? 855-212-4CBS. We also have updates for you on Shohei Ohtani, the scandal that is rocking baseball. What did he know? When did he know it? About his interpreter getting into a 7-figure gambling debt with an illegal bookmaker. So much to do on this Friday. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Fact-checking some things on Oakland University. It is in Michigan, for anyone who had any doubts about that. They're called the Golden Grizzlies. Maggie, I am seeing they're only black bears in Michigan. This is a deceiving team nickname. First of all, Golden Grizzlies doesn't make any sense unless a grizzly happens to be standing in the sunshine. But this is a black bear state. It's a little odd. It's kind of like the Utah Jazz or the Los Angeles Lakers.
I don't think it's that bad.
I have an issue with this, but I did. I'm one of the few people here. I think a lot of people had Kentucky in the Final Four. I had them in the Elite Eight. It's not like I'm in great shape with this, but my bracket is in decent shape, and I won King for a day.
I know. This was a mini bet. You know, we love to do bets around here on the show. It was a mini bet. Whoever got the most games correct on Thursday got to be king for a day on Friday. So we were just going with the scoring from our Pearl Jam Season 3 bracket. Right now, Perloff is tied for 4th in our bracket. Congrats to P. Wade, who's number 1. So Perloff's tied for 4th, so you get to be king for a day.
I should be number 1 if the refs didn't screw over Samford. Then I'd be in great shape.
That was a questionable foul call after a feverish comeback.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. The Kentucky game that we've been talking about, that was the only real major upset. The 11 seeds over the 6 seeds didn't feel as shocking to me. But I think there's something's going to happen today. A 1 or a 2 seed is going down today because nowadays it happens every year. Even though I was one king for a day, I'm probably not going to win this bracket. But I am so excited. I have a devilish plan for the group.
Yeah, so you get to be king for a day. So like we're all at your mercy.
Yeah.
You know, Bilotti, EJ's family, by the way, showing out strong in this bracket. So thank you to the Stewarts who are making their
where are the Grays and the Perloffs and the Bilottis here? The Stewarts came out.
Spent 15 minutes trying to explain to my mom how to sign up for this thing. I swear to God, eventually I just gave up. And I know my wife's in there, and she claimed she had a scientific approach to it this year, and she's got a really slow start. She beat me last year, but I'm going to get her this year.
EJ's mom is top 10 right now, so congratulations to Mrs. Stewart is starting off with a bang. Your wife's top 10.
Oh, she is?
Yeah. She's going under the maiden name, right?
Peterson, yes.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought it was Price. I'm sorry.
No.
I thought that was her too.
My wife pulls me aside yesterday. I get home. She goes, so she looked at the last 10 for every team, and she picked whoever had the better record in the last 10 on ESPN.com standings. She's like, it's momentum. I'm like, yeah, all the historical trends say that's absolutely not true. She told me to shut up.
But to be fair to her, I always thought that too. The trends say do not just pick like the quote unquote hot hand, but NC State won yesterday and Duquesne won yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's funny. All the bid sealers are killing it.
Yeah.
NC State, amazing. What a great story. I said this earlier. NC State has to play Oakland, right? That's not fair. We need both those teams to advance. We can't knock out one of the the tournament darlings this early.
And you talk about. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just asked Perloff, have you thought about any of the diabolical things you want to do?
I
and
have
when
a plan.
can we expect the first one of these King for a Day things to come out?
I'm thinking in the 8 o'clock hour, all I have to say is warm up your vocal cords. Because
Not EJ,
there's
please.
gonna
Anyone
be-
but EJ.
There's going to be some singing on the Maggie and Perloff show later today.
EJ, you have so many talents. You have so many gifts and so many great qualities as a human being, as a broadcaster. You're just a terrible singer.
Which is unfortunate because I love singing.
We know, and that's not helping.
Well, and the funny thing, too, is we've been doing our one-hit wonder bracket all week, and EJ is particularly bad at some of these one-hit wonders that he's never heard of.
Oh, yeah. Now you're going to. Yeah, no, there's songs that I'm like, I never heard this song. You're going to make me sing those, too. That's great.
Died in Your Arms Tonight by Cutting Crew.
EJ, you will not be alone because I think everybody in this room is going to have to sing at some point except for me, which is a service to the audience. Because as we know, I'm even worse than you. Maggie, we don't know much about your singing voice. I know you like to get hammered and do karaoke.
I know, but I sound like a donkey when I'm singing. It's terrible.
And you can't get drunk right now. It's too early.
Well, that's up to you. That's debatable. Okay, so headlines. We will get back to Shohei Ohtani in just a little bit. Peter Schwartz is here doing headlines. Peter, are you ready for whatever punishment comes down because Perloff is king for a day?
Absolutely, whatever. I'm game.
Are you a good singer?
No, my wife said there's a reason why I talk on the radio, not sing.
Yeah, there's very little crossover in this industry. You'd think there'd be more. It's not a lot.
Yeah,
do you do karaoke? I can't even imagine in a million years what your karaoke go-to is.
It's got to be Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Yeah. See, this is where Schwartz and Bellotti are actually very simpatico, but they don't believe
Billy
they
Joel,
are.
yeah.
A little Uptown Girl. I could butcher that song after a couple of brews.
I prefer not to butcher Billy Joel's catalog. I don't want to do him a disservice.
Yeah.
I'm going off the one-hit wonder list, and Billy Joel is certainly the opposite of a one-hit wonder, so he will not be there. I was thinking, I know, Pete, you love Hall & Oates too, right?
That's right.
They're pretty easy to
Well,
sing.
they have prolific catalog.
Remember, Oates.
Yeah, Oates.
Oh, right. Hall can go to hell.
You're a Garfunkel and Oates fan.
That's right. Garfunkel for the hair, because it used to be mine, and then Oates because he's better than Hall.
Yeah, Hall and
Wow.
Simon can go screw.
I've seen Hall & Oates in concert a few times.
You're not alive.
Yeah.
In a while. You just like fall into a Hall & Oates concert.
Been there too.
It's like seeing Huey Lewis in the News. Everyone's seen him. It's like you can't
News
back.
in concert, not
It's like you have
Hall.
to back into a Huey Lewis
Pat
in the
Benatar?
News. Yeah,
I've not seen Huey Lewis in the News. I've seen the News on their solo tour. It didn't go well.
just the News.
Yeah, the News. I'm a much bigger News fan than Huey
They
Lewis.
played a couple 7-Elevens.
A lot of saxophone there. Peter, what's going
Well,
on in
I've
the
seen
world?
Hootie and the Blowfish, but not Hootie by himself.
Oh, you're
both are
missing
great.
out.
Both are awesome.
Personal friend of Perloff, by the way.
Really?
Darius.
Wow.
Darius Rucker?
Darius is a personal friend of everybody. Yeah, he's just such a good dude. He would love you.
Oh, well, I would like him. He was great on Undercover Boss, too.
All right, let's get to the headlines.
I generally have a story for anything that's brought up. There you go. Let's start with the big dance, and we'll tip off in the East region.
Watts with 10 to shoot. Shovels that pass back out to Wells. Wells back to Watts. He'll launch a three on the right wing. And he hits! Oh, the freshman from deep on the right wing. 61-59. Cougars their first lead since 45 seconds into the second half.
Kevin Kugler on the Westwood One NCAA radio network. Number 7, Washington State beat number 10, Drake, 68-61. Isaac Jones, 20 points, 11 rebounds. In the West region, number 15, Long Beach State, they lose to number 2, Arizona, 85-65. And that's the end of the line for fired head coach Don Monson after he was fired following a 5-game losing streak to end the regular season. He was allowed to come back, and they went on a run to win the Big West tournament, get into the big dance. Athletic director Bobby Smitherin said, "See, I told you so." He said his belief and hope was that with the timing of the firing, his team would catch fire, play inspired, knowing that Monson would not be coming back, and he said his plan came together.
This is why everyone hates their boss. Because as soon as this is like what Rick Pitino did, calling out the team and then they go on to win. It's like, well, I guess these motivational tactics work. You cannot take credit for something like this. It's so bad.
I saw Jay Billis had probably the best quote, which is like, we should probably see what would happen if Long Beach State fired the AD and how inspired they will play next season.
Yeah. Let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
In the South region, number 3, Kentucky, upset by number 14, Oakland, 80-76. Kentucky head coach John Calipari sums up the loss.
We had some guys that didn't play the way they'd been playing all year. We did everything we could. We knew the zone would be tough, but we missed shots we don't miss. And, the preparation, I thought they were in a great, trying to keep them loose, but when the game started, you had some guys not play to the level they could play.
Calipari, courtesy of CBS, Jack Golke, 32 points, including 10 three-pointers for Oakland.
Yep, that's Cal taking accountability. Listen, I still think that he should not be fired. Perloff says he should, or they should part ways. We put a poll up on Twitter at Maggie and Pearl. So while you're there voting on whether John Calipari should remain as the Kentucky men's basketball coach, you can also still continue to vote on our bracket of one-hit wonders. Just FYI. Back to you, Pete.
In the Midwest region, number 4 Kansas had themselves a battle with number 13 Samford.
38 seconds to go. Kansas ball up 88-86. They run the baseline, throw it in. Dickinson, they're not going to foul him, though, in the backcourt. He leans in. They could have called an offensive foul. Now he throws it down court. Adams wide open. Dunks it underneath. Somehow Samford lost Adams. 90-86, Kansas.
That was Dave Pasch on the Westwood One NCAA radio network. Kansas survives 93-89 after Samford had cut a 22-point deficit down to 1 with less than a minute to go.
Okay, so the two, very popular upset picks both lose yesterday.
Yeah.
Samford, and I don't know if you're going to get to this, Pete, but McNeese also lost yesterday. And these were the two, high seeds, a 12 seed for McNeese and the 13 seed for Samford, and we just got bupkissed from it. I wonder if they were reading their own headlines.
Well, look, don't look at my bracket, but I tried to warn you all to not run to Gonzaga. Not run against Gonzaga. I tried. I said they were playing
Gonzaga
great.
going to my Elite Eight.
Sanford, however, that's a lot different than McNeese State. At least Sanford showed up. They could have won that game.
That's
They
true.
got
McNeese was that game was over in the first half.
It was completely over. And the one thing I will say about Gonzaga, because a lot of people, I think because they have won a championship, they'll say this is a team that chokes in March. This team always gets to the second weekend. Always. And one of the players actually said, people say that we don't win in March, like we don't always win in March. So people want to run to an early upset. It rarely happens with Gonzaga. Wait till the Sweet 16 if you want to see them choke. Kind of
Tom Izzo feel to it, too. We always, you're right. These teams, why did I not know that yesterday? I was into the upsets.
Well, who cares? You're king for a day.
You
got the most right out of anyone on the show.
I know, but I actually watched Gonzaga. I'm like, ooh, they're going far. That's the thing. You get a vibe of where your teams are. It's not just about the first round. I saw some teams yesterday that have going very deep. I'm like, oh, they're not going deep.
Whoops. What else we got, Pete?
Gonzaga over McNeese, 86-65. You had Iowa State over South Dakota State, 82-65. Duquesne upsets BYU, 71-67. Texas over Colorado State, 56-44. And North Carolina State over Texas Tech, 80-67. Are you ready to hear a familiar voice?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to the NBA now, and we'll start in Milwaukee.
He finds Dennis Smith Jr. off the right wing, across the lane, and Lillard stripped him. Lillard leads the break. Beasley spots up. Corner three. And a shimmy shake out of that corner from Malik Beasley as the Bucks push the lead to 5.
That's our Andrew Bogusch on Nets Radio. The Nets lose to the Bucks 115. What's that?
We should hire that guy.
Yeah.
Do some updates around here.
Dulcet tones. Nets lose to the Bucks 115-108. Damian Lillard led the Bucks with 30 points. Also in the NBA last night, the Knicks' 4-game winning streak came to an end. They lost to the Nuggets 113-100. Nikola Jokic with a triple-double, 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists. Now to baseball. I'd love to get Pete's thought on this. Mets and DH J.D. Martinez reportedly agree on a 1-year, $12 million deal pending a physical. There is a bit of a Bobby Bonilla element to the deal, $4.5 million this year, and then $1.5 million deferred per year from 2034 to 2038.
Enough with the Bobby Bonilla garbage. Everyone does it, so let's cut that out, all right? Everyone defers money. Look at the Nationals. Look at all those bad contracts and how much they defer. So J.D. Martinez needs to be in the Met lineup. They have a big hole in the bottom of the lineup. It's a great thing when you sign players.
No, I think it's great. Listen, the Bobby Bonilla thing, 2 things. Can we even talk about Bonilla when Shohei is deferring $680 million?
Right.
I think it's a Shohei thing now.
And who knows what that's for? We got to figure that out.
Yeah, right. Well, so we'll get to Shohei's scandal in just a moment. But this is the other part. just pay the whole thing. Like, you're the richest owner in baseball. Just pay it.
Well, I assume this is actually players that want this. That's what I assume. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking
No, but
out
he
of
could
turn.
pay out Bonilla. Like,
No, you're talking about Kenny.
I'm just talking about Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets. Like, you could buy out Bobby Bonilla tomorrow. Just end this.
But if I was Bobby Bonilla, I would say no. I don't want that. I want.
It's a fixed income
It's
every
a nice
year.
retirement fund.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel it.
It's an interest, though.
And there's interest as well.
It's based on interest.
I know, but maybe I'll say, listen, I could invest that myself, and maybe I have my own investments. I want to be. I don't know if Bob Bunny has a 401k, but whatever he's got, whatever pension they have from the league,
I think he's walking around Wall Street.
he might be patron saint.
Soccer, USA beat Jamaica 3-1 in extra time. They advanced to the final of the CONCACAF Nations League. In Arlington last night, the USA was down 1-0 in the second half with just seconds to go, but they tied the game on an own goal in the 6th minute of stoppage time, and then Haji Wright scored 2 goals in extra time, and the USA will meet Mexico in Sunday's final.
Fantastic. Peter, thank you so much. Again, so much going on. Kentucky gets upset last night as a 3 seed lose to the 14-seeded Oakland Golden Grizzlies.
Yeah, and by the way, stay tuned later in the day. I just picked out the songs for all 5 of you. I'm king for a day, and I'm going to make you all sing a song from our one-hit wonder bracket.
This is going to be awful.
Oh.
Is it a cappella, too? Do we get an instrumental underneath?
Absolutely a cappella.
What? Gosh.
I'm not sure we have the rights to the instrumental underneath. It's got to be a cappella. You want to sit there and cut all the karaoke versions?
I was gonna say just play the ones that are there. We just sing along.
No, but those have lyrics.
Yeah, I think it's too much of a safety net.
The vocals overwhelm your vocal.
I think we could have found an instrumental. Whatever.
Perloff is king for a day because he got the most games right in the first day of the tournament. Lucky you.
He just walked out, by the way, but Peter Schwartz is doing 99 Luftballons in German.
Trust me, he's not listening to the show. He won't know you
Don't
said
worry
this.
about it.
It's that kind of buy-in that we love around here. 855-212-4CBS. I kid.
He's looking for free tickets.
212-4227. Okay, the Shohei scandal. Updates, new details. Wow, this thing is peeling like an onion. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We'll get back to Kentucky and the big upset yesterday, the future of John Calipari, and all the March Madness that we saw on Thursday. But we've got to update everybody on a story about Shohei Ohtani. So this has obviously been a scandal that's been rocking Major League Baseball. Ohtani's interpreter, who got himself into 7 figures of gambling debt to an illegal bookmaker. Now, the question is, did Ohtani know? Did he authorize 2 wire transfers of $500,000 each to help pay off these debts? Were the debts actually for the interpreter and maybe not for Ohtani himself? And then what is the fallout going to be for Major League Baseball in terms of suspensions and any of that? Now, here's the latest update as far as his news nuggets, Perloff. Ohtani's representatives have contacted law enforcement asking them to investigate what they're calling, quote unquote, massive theft of the $4.5 million of the gambling debts allegedly lost by his interpreter. And the interpreter is taking full responsibility that he's a degenerate gambler. He lost this money. But the question is this a massive cover up? And again, did Ohtani pay off this bookie?
Yeah, I mean, you have to jump to some conclusions here to say, we need more information. The funny thing about me is, the interpretation, like a lot of the story was affected by the fact that Ohtani lost his interpreter. So he can hide behind that. I mean, the language barrier is affecting every aspect of this story.
You're
so
100% right.
That thing, what was it on Wednesday where Ohtani, that the interpreter spoke to the locker room? We talked about this yesterday.
So I have this for you,
Yeah.
more fleshed out
Please,
on that.
yeah.
Okay, so to that end, after this is from ESPN.
Yeah.
After Wednesday's season opening game in South Korea, Dodgers officials called a clubhouse meeting and told players a negative story was coming later in the day. A team official said, and Mizuhara, the interpreter, apologized, saying he had a gambling addiction. It was then, the official said, that Ohtani understood for the first time what was happening and began asking questions. Like, they're alleging here that Ohtani, these stories are just so at such extremes. The Dodgers are saying he found out about this on Wednesday, where Mizuhara is saying he told him about the gambling addiction and the debts in January, and that Ohtani floated him $1 million or more to try to cover up and try to pay back, rather, these gambling losses. You couldn't have two versions of the story that are further apart, and that's why it's inviting so much scrutiny.
Right. Is it possible the interpreter told Shohei the money was for something different, a gray area, where that Shohei didn't understand it was straight out gambling? It's hard to believe. It's a leap of faith here, but I think Shohei is going to try to claim ignorance. And he better. And Rob Manfred better hope that he's ignorant, because that's the other thing. What if it goes the exact opposite direction, and these were bets that Shohei Ohtani was placing, and he lost $4 million? And let's say, obviously we have to go there. What if somebody here bet on baseball?
Well, and let's back up for a second. Yeah. If it is Shohei, right, and let's just say this whole thing is a cover-up, and Shohei is the one with the gambling problem, and he's the one who's been making these bets, you have to be the dumbest person on earth. Because if you are a world-famous athlete, why would you put your own name on a wire transfer, 2 wire transfers to a bookie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good defense.
Ohtani can't be that stupid. Maybe I underestimate people's illness and sickness when it comes to gambling, but that just seems ridiculous. If it's Ohtani who's placing the bets and he put his own name on the wire transfers, that's idiotic.
Well, how do you transfer money if your name's not on it? How does Ohtani get the money to the illegal bookie?
Well, let's float this out. If it actually is Ohtani, then I would imagine he would have used the translator as the front man to place the bets for him, right? So that's where you have a joint account or some type of other account that's secret from everybody.
A joint account with your translator?
I don't know. You're paying the bookie out of a different account, not one that has your freaking name on it. Like you're Shohei Ohtani, your name's not Rob Smith.
Yeah. I think it was pretty easy for investigators to notice that name. You're the biggest name in baseball, maybe one of the biggest names in sports.
Yeah, where have I heard that one before? Oh, right, Shohei Ohtani, the same Shohei.
I think that's a great excuse for Shohei. It's almost implausible that he would put his own name on something if he did something completely nefarious.
Right, and so then the other part, do you wonder, did the interpreter break into his computer or something like that? If something happened that egregious, that's just wire fraud. He's going to jail for a very, very long time. That is massive theft. Now, I think your gray area is interesting. What if the interpreter just told Ohtani it was for something else and not to pay back a bookie? I think Ohtani is still majorly culpable there. I don't think ignorance is an excuse. If you say, hey, I'm floating this money, it's not like he gave the money to the interpreter, then the interpreter gave it to the bookie. He wired it directly to the bookie.
Yeah.
That is not going to hold.
But I think that's significant in terms of what the punishment will be. If that is the case, that the interpreter misled him about what the money was for and he did wire him, then maybe a suspension is merited. But we're not talking
death penalty.
We're not talking a season
ban, right?
Or a ban. A ban would be not a permanent ban, but you could do 2 years. If it turns out he's betting on baseball, which again, a huge leap here. We have no idea if Shohei was betting on anything. Just betting. And by the way, MLB, you are allowed to bet on other sports, but it has to be legal gambling, and this was illegal. Can you imagine what Rob Manfred is sitting there thinking today?
Oh, this is a crisis. A full-blown crisis. I think the other part, and this is something we said yesterday, I think it bears repeating because it's beyond believable to me that, let's just say it is the interpreter, he has the gambling issue, and this is, Ohtani was just the good friend and covered the debts. You're telling me you slid into a hole of 7 figures of gambling debts to an illegal bookmaker, and you would not use any of the information you could glean from being inside a major league clubhouse to start making bets to dig yourself out of the hole? I can't imagine, because you'd be desperate. You'd be beyond desperate. You'd be looking for any way to try to get back some of this money. So I think once this investigation keeps going forward, you're going to find that Mizuhara bet on baseball.
Yeah, counter argument, you can't make that much money betting against the Angels. So I'm not sure.
Fade the Angels?
Fade the Angels along with everybody else. So I don't know what his formula was. And that being said,
I didn't think about the strategy.
Being in the locker room, I've heard of athletes gambling who are terrible gamblers, even on their own team. Who knows?
855-212-4CBS. We'll get more into the relevance and just how this impacts the entire sport of baseball in just a moment. Oh boy, It's a big one. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Didn't take long. First day of the tournament, major upset. Kentucky goes down to Oakland. The Golden Grizzlies, located in Rochester, Michigan, are now the ones who are sending John Calipari straight to the hot seat. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Did not have this one on my bingo card, going to be honest with you. Thought Kentucky was going to make a run. But you know what? It's just really a bit of a microcosm, Perloff, of where Kentucky is right now as a program. It has been disappointing over the last 3 years. A loss to St. Peter's, loss to Kansas State, now a loss to Oakland. I get it. I just don't think it's risen to the level of fireable offense for John Calipari. You will regret the day you fire him if you're Kentucky.
I think he was already on the hot seat. I don't think this loss puts him on the hot seat, and I think I imagine there are a lot of fans who are ready to move on because the expectations are so high at Kentucky. They expect to be like Duke was back. They expect a Final Four every other year at best. And the funny thing about Calipari, his greatest strength, his ability to find talented players and convince them to come to Kentucky, has become a weakness because he's getting these lottery picks who just will not stay. It's amazing. I'm looking at the list of players he's had since his last title. He's had Hall of Fame NBAers come through there. Devin Booker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray. I don't know if they all make the Hall of Fame, but the fact that these guys didn't win anything in college is now going to be held against Cal. And he goes on millions of interviews and says, look at all the great pros that come through my program. That's his number one claim to fame, and it's killing him.
Well, I think for many years, to the tune of 7 Elite Eights and 4 Final Fours and a championship, you could do both. You could recruit the best one-and-dones, and you could also, do right by the university and do right by the students, the student athletes or whatever, and get them to the NBA and make them millionaires and more. But here's the thing. It has changed, but all it takes is a few tweaks and you're right back into this thing. Like the program isn't bottomed out. They're not a disgrace. They're still getting this high level talent, including Rob Dillingham, including Reed Shepherd. And listen, is it a mistake maybe to bring some of those guys off the bench? Maybe they should be starting. All right, you want to quibble with some of Cal's X's and O's. This is just, I don't see this as wildly off base. I see this as a couple ticks away and something where the fan base, I think, will, it's a grass is always green, a bluegrass is always greener kind of thing, where you're going to you will regret firing Calipari. And the other part is, who are you getting to come in and replace him? Are you sure you're getting somebody who's going to be better than Cal? I know you don't want to make a decision out of fear, but you got somebody who slam dunk recruiting classes coming in. It's like Nick Saban. These are slam dunk recruiting classes coming in. I wouldn't want to turn my back on that.
I don't want slam dunk recruiting classes. I want to win titles. I want to be Jay Wright at Villanova, who never got those kind of players.
There was a lot of times where Jay Wright couldn't get out of the first round, too. It wasn't, let's not look back and say Jay Wright had no issues in the tournament.
Jay Wright is a winning
awesome
coach in the modern game, and John Calipari's format is from 20 years ago. The question is, can he change? What makes you think John Calipari is going to change? Does he give you any indication of that?
Well, he did say it last night. Let's play a little from John Calipari post-game. How about cut 5, please, Pete, where he's asked if he does need to change his philosophy on the roster.
So do I change because of that? Maybe add a couple older guys to supplement, but that's what these two did. And if Trey doesn't get hurt, it's a little bit different. Right.
So obviously, John Calipari there talking about Trey Mitchell. He did have Antonio Reeves, who's a 5th-year senior. You can't tell me that this is a bad philosophy. I get he's lost in the last 3 years. He's lost to 2 double-digit seeds. I understand the people in Kentucky are disappointed by that. But you're going to tell me that bringing this talent into the building is a bad thing? I can't believe it.
Yes, that's how it works now. I mean, it's a bad thing to have one and dones because they're done, and they're not going to win. How is an 18-year-old going to lead a team unless if Wembanyama had gone to college, maybe. But I just don't think that the freshmen can make that kind of impact anymore. The days of Carmelo and Anthony Davis seem to be long gone. I'm not exactly sure why those guys aren't in the system anymore, but it's not going to happen. Who's the next guy that he's going to...
Caleb Love a freshman? When was he a freshman in North Carolina? Sophomore? Okay, it's not like Chet Holmgren who's a freshman. I think okay, you're not always going to win, but like this is... I think that Kentucky, you can't say you're going to win every year. That never happens in college basketball.
Chet Holmgren, you're a Gonzaga fan, EJ. Did he make a real, true impact on that program? Not like Drew Timme. I mean...
Oh, it's a good question. I feel like Chet made an impact in the sense that it makes other kids want to come to Gonzaga, but Timme is the more iconic and more impactful Zag, no question.
Did Holmgren win it? Was he on? I can't even remember.
They went to the Sweet 16, and he was a big feat, and they lost because the referees fouled him out. That's a whole other conversation.
But you're saying like freshmen have no impact now. I think that's not true.
But here's the thing, Maggie. Think about these teams that have won championships. And Perloff's right where times you don't need a number one recruiting class, but they are still recruiting well.
Right.
Hurley recruits well. The kid UConn won last year. Self recruits well. They won the year before. Scott Drew at Baylor. They get McDonald Americans. They get good players. The problem is they team build. Unlike Calipari, who just looks at a 247 Sports top 10 list. Okay, give me 4 of those guys with no plan of how to actually put them together. That's the problem. I'm not saying, hey, don't get good players. You need good players to win a championship. The problem is he just doesn't care about like a team aspect that can actually win you a championship. He just wants guys that are guaranteed guys that he can get to the NBA.
Okay, I think that this is not so different. We're talking about John Calipari. Kentucky loses last night to Oakland, and now we're figuring out what the future holds for Calipari, who's on the hot seat. Here's a question, though. I forgot which coach said this, but it was not John Calipari. Said yesterday, we used to be able to build a team for 4 years. I have to pack 4 years of team building into 365 days. It's the same type of thing. You can quibble with Calipari, but a lot of teams are doing this where they have only one season to really put a team together before guys either hit the portal again or they're out of eligibility or something like that. This is what I saw with FAU and San Diego State and the teams that made it to the Final Four last year. It's like you had a bunch of transfers that came together. You got to make it happen in a short amount of time. The sport is changing so rapidly that you're not telling me I think there's going to be more of an influx of talent coming back into college basketball because of NIL. And I want Calipari on my front lines for that. I want him recruiting that good talent, and I think I'm going to be able to break through with it.
But Maggie, even when Calipari was more successful and it was more advantageous to him to have one-and-done teams, still, one championship.
Yeah. I know. Four Final Fours, though. I mean, it's not like it's been one championship and then a bunch of crap.
But by the way, EJ, who's these UConn, McDonald? UConn doesn't have any pros.
UConn last year
had an impact NBA player out of UConn.
6 guys that were top 60 players.
Well, name an impact NBA player. Danny Hurley does not.
It's not about NBA, Pearl. It's about.
I'm just saying he does not have. That problem is John Calipari has nothing but NBA players who are not going to stick around. UConn's not like that at all.
No, yeah, and I agree with you. My point, though, is that like this idea that, well, if you don't have John Calipari, you're going to get a guy who can't recruit. Newsflash, Danny Hurley, Scott Drew, Bruce Pearl, they recruit. Bill Self, they recruit.
Right.
They're just not trying to get the number 1 and number 2 guys. They're bringing guys who are McDonald American guys or guys who are right below that, and they're keeping them for a year or two. And guess what? Now you have a more complete team. John Calipari's not thinking that. He's just thinking, I need the guy who's the best right now so I can get him to the NBA so I can show other kids that I get guys to the NBA. And I'm sorry, I'm just not that impressed with that. You getting the number 2 or 3 guy every year and saying, look, they made all this money in the NBA. No, duh, of course.
I think that you're underestimating that Cal couldn't make an adjustment here.
Well, he's had time. This is not coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is a 4-year. I mean, NIL is 2021. We're in 2024.
Well, I would just say, I think in basketball, it's particularly different because you're always thinking, if I have one great player, that's going to give me the massive advantage.
It's right? not college basketball anymore because that great player hasn't won in forever.
No, I understand, but I think you guys are underestimating, just like people would underestimate Dabo Swinney. Just because he hasn't gone along with the trend right now doesn't mean that they still can't win.
Oh, I don't think Dabo Swinney's going to win again at Clemson.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. He did dip into the portal already, so who's to say he wouldn't do that again and wouldn't come along and try to change things even more? I'm telling you, these other coaches, too, you're mentioning, if you want to say who's going to replace John Calipari, are you sure they're coming? Danny Hurley wins 2 titles at UConn. He's not leaving.
Well, they won't get Hurley, but they could get that.
Nate Oates just had signed an extension to Alabama.
You telling me if Kentucky calls Nate Oates, he's not jumping from? It's not Alabama football. It's Alabama basketball. You're aware of that.
Okay, and you follow Cal. Okay, you want to do that?
Yes, because it's Kentucky.
Kentucky's an extremely attractive job. When Cal took this job, it wasn't. Billy Gillespie did a poor job there, and to Cal's credit, he got them back to real national championship caliber relevancy. That job nobody wanted before. This job, with all the resources, all the stuff, all the backing they have now, the support from the fan base, this is an awesome job. I think anybody is really up for the taking potentially if Cal was fired. I think this is a job that a lot of people want. They wouldn't care about following a legend at all.
I also think that you think that the Kentucky fan base wants their head coach bringing in transfers from D2 schools?
Oh, yeah.
They don't care. They want wins.
Why would Kentucky's got to be sick of the Devin Bookers and Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders coming and going so fast? I would imagine if I was a fan, I'd say, yes, give me the old guys.
Okay, maybe. I don't know, you guys. I think that you underestimate also that there is a flash that comes with Kentucky where you're expected to have a really great recruiting class. And the reason why you have the flash is because we would only be naming high-level coaches. They're not bringing in some up-and-coming guy who would eventually take over for Calipari. You got to go with big names, and I think the fan base does want to see that number one recruiting class. I think they want both. I think they don't want to lose recruits to Louisville or whoever they're going to lose them to, and Kansas or whoever they're competing against, Duke. They want to win the recruiting battles, and I think they obviously do want to win as well.
I think they would take Jack Golke 10 times out of 10 over Reed Shepherd right now. Maybe not Reed Shepherd, but Dillingham. I just think that,
or DJ Wagner or something. Yeah,
I think they have to start bringing in 20-somethings.
Listen, that's a big problem, and this is something I don't actually love, and I don't want to yuck the yums here of Oakland, and it's a good story, and it's very fun, and this is why we love the NCAA tournament. But we talked about the same thing with college football. It does feel at times a little bit ridiculous to have a 24-year-old playing against 19-year-olds. That also feels like taking advantage of a system where we're still getting through COVID years and all these post-grad years, and we have 100 years of eligibility now. So a 24-year-old playing against a 19-year-old, we all know this because we worked in sports long enough. 24 is actually your athletic peak, not 19. We always think the younger the better. That's not actually true. Think about guys in the NBA. You mentioned Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and other guys. You more peak around 25 than you do around 19.
But how does that affect your fandom or your enjoyment of the game? And Michael Penix is 23. I still liked watching him in the Final Four.
I'm just saying I get where Cal's coming from, that it feels a little old, guys. 24 years old in a college basketball tournament. This kid is great. Jack Golke, he's got male pattern baldness. Yeah. He looks like he should work here or something. No offense to all the guys who work here with the male pattern baldness. This is not a shot at you. You look at college, you're like, that guy's in college? As opposed to Reed Shepherd, who does look like he's in college.
He looks like he's in middle school.
You're supposed to be baby-faced.
I just think that you can't tell me that Oakland was cheating or at some sort of advantage here. They're Oakland. They're Oakland going against Kentucky. I don't care if their players are 33 years old. This is Oakland against Kentucky.
But there is a reality that if you do have players who average 24 years old, you are going to have an advantage in some ways over Kentucky.
And Cal said that, but I mean they didn't have an average age of 24. Their best player last night was 24. Trey Townsend is 22, going to be 23. We're not talking about,
they're too old to get drafted in the NBA. That would be a knock against them.
Yeah, but I mean, to say their average age is 24, that suggests there are guys who are even older than that. I mean, their average is probably around 22, 21, which, yes, they're an older team than Kentucky. But look, guess what? There are other coaches. Bill Self doesn't have this problem, okay? Mark Few doesn't have this problem. There are other coaches who are elite coaches who don't get bounced in the first round to St. Peter's and Oakland. Why does it keep happening to this guy?
Well, it's like you make it seem like all the entire 15 years in Kentucky, it's been always one big loss to Lehigh. Like, that's not how this has gone. I know it's a what have you done for me lately? I get that. But let's not rewrite the history that there was no success there. 855-212-4CBS. Yes.
The main reason that these Oakland kids are not getting drafted is because no Oakland kid has ever gotten drafted. I'm trying to find, I can't find this.
Well, they just won their first NCAA tournament game yesterday.
But Kendrick Nunn went there undrafted. That's the only guy I could find in the NBA.
Foiled.
That's a reality of college basketball now, parity because of this. You're absolutely right about the age difference. It's not fair necessarily, but that's how you're going to win games now. The days of Anthony Davis and one and dones winning titles seem so long gone. Cal's not going to adjust, Maggie. A guy like John Calipari's had too much success the other way, and I don't think Dabo Swinney's really going to adjust.
855-212-4CBS. Got a Twitter poll up there for you at Maggie and Pearl. Should John Calipari be fired? Yes, no?
Poll results if you want them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early, but yeah, let's do
right
it.
Now, 59% say Calipari should be fired. 41% say he should not.
Prisoner of the moment. Speaking of prisoners, speaking of prisoners, we're all prisoners today to Andrew Perloff because we had a mini show bet where Perloff and whoever won the most, got the most games correct yesterday, if I can speak, got to be king for a day today. Perloff is the winner. So now you've been thinking up punishments / I don't know, tasks?
Yeah.
Like your personal assistant for the day?
Nothing entertains me more than bad singing. So that is going to be my main theme of the day. So everybody here at the Maggie and Perloff show has to sing one of our one-hit wonders. So we have a bracket of one-hit wonders that we're doing this month. And, you know, we are playing the songs on the radio, but I don't think you've heard them sung karaoke style. And I think it's about time we entertain America with the dulcet tones of the Maggie and Perloff show.
This is going to be ugly.
It's going to be bad.
There's a reason why we don't sing a lot on this show.
Yeah.
We also have the Shohei Ohtani scandal that is now unfolding. What did Ohtani know about his translator's gambling habits? When did he know it? Is it actually him with the gambling habit? And this is all just one big ruse to cover for a famous athlete. I mean, we could talk about this story till the end of time. There's so many different tentacles to the Ohtani story. It could go in any which direction. The latest news is that Ohtani's representatives are asking police to investigate this massive fraud. I mean, is there any way that backfires? Do you invite the police into this situation? You better have the truth.
Well, the police
from Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, the police have already. It all started because they're busting this illegal bookmaker. Yeah, that headline kind of confused me. I'm like, aren't the police already investigating it? They're the ones who told us Shohei was on the wire transfers.
Right. Well, they want them to invest this massive theft. How did these wire transfers get from Ohtani's personal account to the bookmaker?
Unbelievable. And the thing is, you know that Shohei and his group and MLB, they're not going to come out and say anything to clarify anything. I think that they're going to let it hang out there, and because Shohei's going to use the language barrier and not say anything. And then MLB, they're just not going to say anything because they don't know what to say. And you know how MLB is.
This is like going to be a lost in translation scandal.
Or, yeah.
How do you lose $4.5 million in translation?
Rob Manfred can't answer easy questions. How is he going to handle this?
I do not want to be him today. 855-212-4CBS. See your calls about Shohei Ohtani. We'll get to them in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I am devising some torturous song lyrics for you guys. You're going to have to sing one of our one-hit wonders from our one-hit wonder bracket. Man, this is so much fun because I picked a song that I know EJ hates more than anything in this bracket.
Okay.
I actually am going to help you out, Maggie.
Oh, well, thank you. By the way, you get to do this because you're king for a
King
day.
for a day because I won the first round of the tournament here.
Yeah.
Barely. I don't even know how that happened. But I've given you a song that is so bad that if you want to, you can read it as a poem in a fancy voice.
Baby Got Back.
Baby Got Back be good, but a
dramatic reading of Baby Got Back.
Probably, if you look at our one hit wonder, we talked about what's the worst song in there / best song.
Mambo number 5.
That's the second or third.
Who Let the Dogs Out?
Who Let the Dogs Out?
I'm not going to do a dramatic reading of
You're
Who
doing
Let
a
the
dramatic reading of Who Let the Dogs Out later in the show.
And
by the way,
hate that song.
the only lyric that you know is Who Let the Dogs Out. The other lyrics are insane.
Is this like it's going to get me canceled? Like, is it some weird innuendo?
No. It's actually,
Okay.
It's not impolitically correct at all. It's just so random. Does anyone know the other words to Who Let the Dogs Out? They're about to learn them.
No, and I don't want to know, and I've never wanted to know.
Don't worry. They're not that embarrassed. They're not like Baby Got Back.
I'd rather do Baby Got Back.
Too bad.
Oh, man.
I'm king for a day. You're doing Who Let the Dogs Out.
Oh, shoot. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. You guys want to weigh in on the Shohei Ohtani scandal? We get back to John Calipari in Kentucky losing last night. They were a 3 seed, losing to a 14 seed. We get to Cal's future in a moment. But Rich, Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am well. Do you think Pete Rose might be getting a little chuckle out of this whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
my God, Karma is a difficult and demanding mistress.
But here's the thing, Rich, about Pete Rose. Pete broke the rules. Why he would think that he couldn't get let back into the sport, he's just being stubborn and obstinate. He broke the rules. He knew what they were.
Oh, wait, we're doing Pete Rose?
No, I don't want to do Pete Rose, but I'm just saying it's not like Karma. Karma what? Pete Rose broke the rules.
Yeah, but baseball's going to ignore Shohei because they have a lot of money to make off Shohei. So Pete Rose, and there's no reason for them to bring Pete Rose back now. I do think it's going to be a hypocrisy situation for sure.
Well, the other thing, too, about Pete Rose, and Rich, thank you so much for the phone call. Good to hear from you. Nobody has benefited more from Pete Rose's suspension than Pete Rose.
Oh, yeah.
You think that people are lining up still to pay to get his autograph after all these years without the scandal? Maybe, but they're not in the way they are now.
Yeah,
infamy for him looks way better than fame.
That being said, we're not doing Pete Rose debate. That's kind of the oldest sports talk radio debate.
Not doing it.
I mean, he's getting pretty old now. Would have really killed to just put that dude in the Hall of Fame. Just get it. I mean, honestly, at this point, is anyone still mad at Pete Rose?
I'm not a fan. Let's go to Kevin, who's in Oregon. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good. I was going to ask if Ohtani's interpreter was getting his betting advice from Phil Mickelson, but when you were talking about these players that were leaving early from college basketball, do they still have college eligibility once they leave to become professionals? Because if they do, there are a lot of guys that end up in the G League or D League or whatever it's called. They could make way more money if they went back to college and took the NIL money.
Yeah, but Kevin, once you declare, that's it. You're eligible. Once you declare for the draft or once you go pro, you can't double back.
Right. But Kentucky players actually go to the NBA, though. They're not G Leaguers. They're real NBA players.
That's too bad. LeBron would be better off going to play at USC. He'd be more likely to play with his son than his son going to the Lakers.
Kevin, you set us up for the LeBron-Bronny joke. It's gonna be tough here for Bronny. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just happy Bronny's playing after all his health stuff.
That's true.
But it's funny. Is there a guy? Remember we talked yesterday, we did our Maggie and Perloff multiverse. What if LeBron had gone to Duke? Is there going to be a guy like LeBron who comes into college basketball you really think can win a title? I don't even remember the last time that happened. There's no Shaq coming into college basketball. There's nothing like that anymore. I don't know why. A singular player who is so good as a freshman, he's going to go all the way. I mean, EJ, you follow recruiting. It doesn't seem possible that guy exists anymore. Wemby's not going to college.
Well, I mean, we talked about this before with Kentucky losing yesterday, that, the developmental side of basketball is also not what it was. So are you coming into college? I'm not going to say more raw, but it's more about playing games now than it is developing. That's what the AAU, juggernaut, that's what the machine is all about. It's about tournaments, parents having to pay for tournaments, and it's not about development as much.
And one big thing, too, big men cannot dominate the sport like many generations ago because of the three-point line. I mean, you saw, you can have, Kentucky's front line was so much taller, so much better than Oakland, but you can have a guy get hot from three, and that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, the guy broke the record. I mean, he hit 10 threes yesterday off the bench. Jack Golke hit 10 threes. He's only attempted 8 twos in the entire season.
Right. It used to be, back in the day, the Blue Bloods had gigantic players that you would dominate the game. Do you see that at all? Nobody really, I know Zach Edey is a number one seed, but everyone knows at the end of the day, if his three-point shooters are off, Zach Edey's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, the three-point line and the three-point shot has changed this completely. Yes. And also, no lead is ever safe. We saw this with Dayton and Nevada yesterday, right? That game seemed like it was in the bag, and all of a sudden Dayton goes on a 24-4 run to close it out. Another L for your girl. But
me too.
Again, this is part of it. Let's go to the phones. Whenever I see this man's name on the call screener, I get excited. It's our pal Big Friendly in California. Wants to weigh in on the Shohei Ohtani situation. Big Friendly, how are you on this Friday?
I'm getting better, but glad to see you guys. I just finally found your stream.
Hey.
So you and Perloff, I need to send you guys breakfast. You guys need a breakfast burrito with cheese.
Wait a minute. Oh, are we looking slim?
You guys are looking slim. I'm a big guy, 6'5", 360. So I see you guys, and I see Yeah, you guys need to eat. But
No one's ever said that to us before.
The cameras are very slimming here. We have a filter on them that makes me look skinny. I'm super buff.
Are we better looking, though, than people might think?
Don't ask that question. Maggie's better looking. Big Friendly, watch yourself.
I meant as a whole show. I think that we are a good-looking show. Compared to other shows, I think we're a good-looking show.
Very good-looking cast of ensembles. Real quick, before I get into my coughing span so I can get off the air.
Yeah.
With the Shohei Ohtani thing, my question to you guys is, with today, with all the betting apps, whenever you watch baseball, basketball, football, hockey, every other commercial is a betting app.
Yep.
So with professional sports tied in to the betting apps, Vegas and Reno and Atlantic City, do you think they're going to come down that hard on Ohtani when now they're in bed with the betting stuff?
Yeah. No. It's a great question, Friendly, and feel better. And thank you. No need to send us any breakfast. We've got that covered over here. We'll get some carbs.
I think what Big Friendly brings up is the biggest question in sports. The influence of gambling on sports is getting very scary. The potential Temple scandal in college basketball, that's still looming. The investigation is just starting into that. I think this is just the beginning of betting scandals. This would be the biggest by far. I mean, if Shohei was actually linked to betting, that would just rock the entire. This is way bigger than Calvin Ridley getting suspended for a year. This is the face of your sport.
No, I get it, but let's think about it. This is a unique scandal in that sports betting is still illegal in California. The two big states out there, California and Texas, it's still illegal. So this feels a little more old-fashioned, actually.
Well, this is unique, too, because you have the whole thing. He's an interpreter for,
right.
This relationship. It's not just a buddy. This is way more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody who Shohei relies on for his day-to-day success in his sport, sometimes minute to minute. I mean, the interpreter's coming to the mound, like to interpret for coaches who are trying to give Ohtani any kind of direction. Coming to him when he's at the plate if they make a pitching change to try to see what kind of pitcher are you facing and get some last-minute scouting report stuff. I mean, this guy is very influential in Ohtani's life.
I saw a quote where he said that I've never falsified an interpretation. The fact that he had to say that says that it's out on the table. Ooh, was he lying to Shohei about what people were saying?
Can we talk about that for just a second? We'll get back to just like how big this is in sports and baseball and so many implications. I always thought about that. Could the interpreter be like, how close to the interpretation are we? Because we watch a lot of baseball around here in New York, and a lot of guys speak Spanish. But the interpreter can't go out of line here because so much of the audience also speaks Spanish. You get called out in a second if you change the meaning. But how many people relatively in your population are speaking Japanese and also would be able to call that out? Like if he was in fact changing some of the context.
Yeah, there's this new show out, by the way, Shogun, that everyone's talking about. It's on Hulu and FX. So the big issue is the interpreter. It's set in Japan.
Yeah.
Is the interpreter lying for political advantage? That's
it's a storyline?
Yeah, this is from 1600s Japan. There's every interpreter is up for grabs because they didn't know English. Or actually, it was actually Portuguese.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I was on grand jury duty, remember I talked about that nonstop for months? There were a lot of interpreters, but they were often interpreting Spanish. There were actually Mandarin interpreters, but the Spanish interpreters, half the jury spoke Spanish, so they would be correcting the interpreter in real time all the time.
What?
They're like, that's not exactly what that means.
Imagine you're on trial for potential facing jail time.
Yeah, we had a Mandarin. We had all sorts of languages come in. This is a huge issue. You're exactly right. Then this is in this story. I think that's going to play a large part. Imagine if it goes to court.
This is so tangled. Also, interpreter, another job I'd be terrible at. Like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
You would just make up what the person said.
Again. He said one game at a time. Got to take it one game at a time.
Yeah. Does the interpreter just throw out the platitudes that an athlete does?
Yeah, it's Carissa Thompson is actually the interpreter.
Does he even tell Shohei what the stupid question from the announcer is? He's like, yeah, Shohei just wants to pitch. He just wants to be efficient at the plate or something. He just makes up crap.
Also, do you notice this a little bit with Spanish? I have a lot of people in my family who speak Spanish. My brother lives in Mexico. He's married to an Argentinian woman, so they're speaking only Spanish in their house. And sometimes my brother will translate between different family members, and my sister-in-law will say a lot of things. But then I'm like, what'd she say? And he's like, she said cool. I'm like, no, she definitely said more words than just cool. Like, give me the whole thing. He's like, no, she basically said cool. I feel like that happens a lot with post-game interpretations, too. It's like the guy's talking, like, well, he said, we got to play harder.
Yeah.
He definitely said more than
Well, that can go a lot of ways, and it's great that you had that relationship with your brother and his sister-in-law, but I've had friends who had families who are from foreign countries, and they speak different languages, and, the boyfriend or girlfriend would be very paranoid that there's something being said badly about them, and the other's like, oh, no, they just said it's fine.
Yeah, no, you got to pick up on the international language of body language and context clues, and we get along very well.
I've seen relationships blow up because of this kind of thing.
Peter Schwartz is here with headlines. Good morning.
Were you guys big Seinfeld fans?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You do you remember the episode where Elaine thinks that the girls in the nail place are making fun of her?
In
They're
Korean.
speaking in Korean, and she brings in Frank Costanza, who was based, I guess, in the Army, where the services was there, and he explodes on them because he can understand exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, it turns out he had an affair with the woman who's sitting in the back room. Great show.
He put the move on her.
Yeah, he put the move on her. Stop short.
We begin with the NCAA tournament, and we'll start in the Midwest region.
Backing in is James around the arc, top of the circle. Here's Gainey through James. Connect, right corner three. It's a jackpot for Dalton Connect, and a 20-point lead for Tennessee, which wants no part of what happened to Kentucky earlier.
Jason Benetti on the Westwood 1 NCAA Radio Network. Number 2, Tennessee over number 15, St. Peter's, 83-49. Dalton Connect with 23 points. So, what happened to Kentucky earlier?
This is it as Kentucky inbounds. They get it in. The throw to the front. Reeves, three-point jumper. No good. Golke down with the rebound. Maybe now they know where Oakland is. They're in the history books. An 80-76 upset victory over Kentucky.
That was Scott Graham on the Westwood 1 NCAA Radio Network. A stunner in the South. Jack Golke led Oakland with 32 points, including 10 threes. In the East region, number 11, Duquesne knocking off number 6, BYU, 71-67. Duke's head coach Keith Dambrot said the defense was the key to victory.
I think the score pretty much says exactly why we won. That's a very high-scoring team, and we knew that we had to play into the 60s, low 60s, mid-60s, and not much higher than it was for us to win. That's just not the way we win. And
they come away with the big win there last night. Some other scores from last night that were late. Washington State over Drake, 66-61. You had Iowa State over South Dakota State, 82-65. Number 4, Kansas survives number 13, Samford, 93-89. Tennessee over St. Peter's, 83-49. Gonzaga topping McNeese, 86-65. Now to the NBA, and we'll start in Phoenix.
Cross court it goes to Allen, now in between the rings. Beal penetrating, 6 on the shot clock. Feeds Booker, all alone for 3. He cans it in the left corner. Devin Booker has made 5 threes on the night on 7 tries, and he leads the Suns with 27 points. They lead by 12 with under a minute to go.
John Blum on Suns Radio. The Suns over the Hawks, 128-115. Devin Booker with 30 points. How about a little more from the first-string update anchor here on the show?
Smith Jr., Damian Lillard continue their battle. Lillard a pass for Portis. Spins away from a double. Back for Lillard. Now it's Giannis, top of the arc, a 3. And it's down. Nets let him shoot it.
Yeah, got to.
And Giannis hits it to tie the game at 90.
Wow, that sounds like Bogish.
Yeah, it was.
I thought that was Cat's AI.
Yeah, it could have been. This is the tough thing about that game. You're doing Nets radio, but obviously the Bucks are going to be the team, so you got to give the Bucks the proper enthusiasm, and I thought he did that.
Yeah, I went on the Odyssey app and listened to a big chunk of it last night. He's great. Yeah. Really solid.
Does a great job.
Capstra, his color guy, is really good too.
Tim Capstra's awesome. The capper, sneaky funny.
And he's been at it for a long time. He has been fantastic, and he does a great job on TV. He does a lot of college basketball on television. So, yeah, he's outstanding. That's by the way, they lose to the Bucks 115-108.
Well, I told you guys a story about when Mike Breen was an assistant coach in my youth basketball team. You know who the head coach was? Tim Capstra.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
The bloodline he comes from.
So when you hit a shot, did Breen give you the
no
bang?
No bangs.
Not the double bang?
No bangs. But what I didn't know what I will take from Mike Breen that was so cool was just like he says in games, like you're taking a lot of jump shots. I'd like to see him go into the paint. He said that about me once in the huddle, and I was like, wow. I heard him say that about Allen Iverson last night.
Wait, why was Mike Breen coaching your team?
His son was on my team.
Oh, okay.
Mike Jr. And he was the assistant coach.
I mean, the fact that he couldn't give you guys a bang, though.
Yeah. Well, we didn't win many games, so that would have. You need to win or make clutch shots in order to get a bang call.
But isn't Breen the nicest guy in the industry? I've heard that before.
Yes.
Was a saint.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
He's also got it maybe muttering under his breath, like as you guys are maybe getting blown out. It's like largest lead of the game.
Yeah, well,
classic
I think I heard a way off when shot
way
airball.
off.
Got one of those, so that wasn't always good.
That's so funny. For as good as the bang feels, the way off has got to be the worst feeling in the world.
It's funny. My dad always tells the funniest story because, we were in our first practice. None of us know Mike Breen is going to be the assistant coach of this team, and he's introduced himself to his parents. He goes to my dad. He's like, "Hey, I'm Mike." My dad's like, "Yeah, I know who you are."
What if you had Gus Johnson's kid on the team? Gus would,
Yes.
first of all, the game would go to overtime every game.
Maserati EJ.
Yeah, you would have gotten a nickname or Harlan. Harlan would be a good sports dad. Just oh wow, you could hear him all the way from the parking lot.
He's like, the water boy. He's all over the court.
Oh.
I can't do
I don't think you
Harlan.
do it right between the eyes with kids playing, but.
I know. Gus Johnson. Well, somehow he'd be rooting for Deion, which is weird because it's a high school basketball game, but he'd find a way to get it in.
I would watch a high school basketball game. I'd watch a youth if Gus Johnson was calling it youth basketball, that'd probably be super entertaining.
People say that fans don't tune in for announcers. That's wrong about Gus Johnson. I'll sit there and watch
definitely.
a game, even if it's a blowout. This would happen sometimes with the Knicks when Gus was doing their games. I'll still listen.
I disagree. It's more like you're watching games, and there's a lot of blowouts. Then there happens to be, everyone's like, this game is close. And then Gus is always on that game.
I know.
It's just like there's a crazy game going on. Oh, Gus is on it. I don't know how he finds these games.
They
but
sound
he does.
crazy. It's like they're up 2 scores, and Gus is giving me game 7.
That might be it. It might be because Gus makes him seem special, but he does seem to get a lot of heartbreakers.
Baseball, the Mets and DH J.D. Martinez reportedly agree on a 1-year, $12 million deal pending a physical. And the NFL is not considering banning the tush push ahead of next season, also referred to as the brotherly shove. The play worked at a 90% success rate in short yardage situations for the Eagles last season. So the tush push stays.
Listen, for every other team, the other 31, besides the Eagles, if you don't have this down to a 90% clip next year, I think fans have a right to pie in the face your coach or something. We all get to just throw a pie in the face for the coach. How dare you not have this play? It doesn't even have to be with your starting quarterback. It could be with your backup quarterback. It could be with a tight end. Whoever you think can execute this play, you have to have this in your playbook now.
I seem to remember, though, Josh Allen, when Josh Allen did it, it was a bit of an adventure. They had the wrong guy pushing him a few times.
He fumbles all the time.
Yeah.
Not him, not Josh Allen.
He was also jumping when they were doing the tush push. I didn't know
I
what
don't
he
want
didn't
to
know what
talk
he
about
was
this with the
doing.
Bills. Find someone else, Mr. Trubisky, whoever the hell's out there. You got to get a tush push in your playbook.
By the way, or just do a quarterback sneak. 4th and 1, they go in shotgun and hand it for a -2.
hate it.
Quarterback sneak was also working, by the way. It's not like tush push is revolutionizing the game. They did start to call some penalties on it toward the end. Makes me nervous. The NFL's like, that's okay, but they could all of a sudden, start calling offsides all the time. They might get rid of it a little bit in that way.
I know Jason Kelsey bleeds Eagles, though. I don't know. He seems to be rooting a lot about the Chiefs. But I kind of want to see what happens when he's not there. And I wonder if he'll take a little pride if the Eagles tush push isn't quite as successful this year.
It's a quarterback sneak. How hard is it to do? Maggie's right.
I mean, we say that, but Kelsey's supposed to be he's a Hall of Fame center, and no one else does it well.
There's plenty of teams that can't get 3rd and inches, 4th and inches. They get pushed back.
Because they're idiots and they're not doing the tush push.
I know. That's why it should be mandatory in every playbook. It's like whatever your fake punt. You got to have it. Just have it in the playbook. Way more successful. Peter, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Appreciate that. Lots more to do. See you guys on the phones. You want to talk about Shohei Ohtani? We want to talk about Shohei Ohtani. You want to talk about John Calipari? We want to talk about John Calipari. We also have King for a Day.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Perloff won. He picked the most correct games yesterday, so he gets to be King for a Day today. We'll pay off one of those.
Next, I'm King for a Day. Next segment, we're going to pay off somebody who's going to sing a one-hit wonder.
Oh, God. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
So you can do it any way. You can do it any way you want, but you have to give America a little right said Fred.
Okay, here it is. The one and only right said Fred. I'm too sexy for my love. Too sexy for my love. Love's gonna leave me. I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy, yeah, it hurts. I'm too sexy for Milan. Too sexy for Milan, New York, and Japan. I'm too sexy for your party. Too sexy for your party. No way I'm disco dancing. I'm a model, you know what I mean. I do my little turn on the catwalk. Yeah, on the catwalk. On the catwalk, yeah. I do my little turn on the catwalk.
Yay!
Wow.
Thank you.
And you did it a cappella. No instrumental underneath. Way to go, Pete.
A little disappointed you're still wearing your shirt. I thought maybe we'd get it.
I'm not. No way.
Theater of the mind. He's naked right now.
Good job. I got to tell you, that might be the least embarrassing song that will be sung this show.
All right.
Maggie, yours is a doozy.
That's coming up next hour. Let's go back to the phones. Perloff is king for a day, so he gets to make us do whatever he wants, and apparently we're singing. Michael's in Henderson, Nevada, wants to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
I give that a 3 out of 10, the last Pete song.
Snaps for Pete.
Anyways, my take is, what if the lawyers for Ohtani panic and say, let's say he stole the money, and they went to Ohtani and say, hey, he's going to jail anyways. Let's say he stole the money, and now later on in the findings, they're going to find out that Ohtani gave him the money.
Yeah. Michael, you're setting up a crux here. You're right. You're nailing it right on the money, right? Which is
so much trouble.
Oh yeah. Well, he's already linked to a bookmaker. If you just followed the paper trail, allegedly you got money coming out of Ohtani's personal account going to an illegal bookmaker. So that's that's not great.
One more thing is, who's more likely to get a $4 million
gambling debt?
Yeah.
Yeah, a guy who makes $200,000 a year or Ohtani. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways.
Michael,
not good.
Great points. Good to hear from you. So, yes, there's a couple things there.
One, Mike.
Here's the thing, right? Would a bookmaker, even if you work for Ohtani and they know you're the translator for Ohtani, would a bookmaker actually let you rack up $4.5 million in debt if on paper you make $300,000 a year? That's generally a no.
Well, except, illegal bookmakers, of course, can use credit where the DraftKings and FanDuel's Lord cannot.
No, I get it, but $4 million in credit, that's a lot to float to somebody who's got $300,000 on their W-2.
But if you know that person is the interpreter for a multimillionaire, then you're trying to hook into that guy's money.
Oh, I get it, but he could work for Ohtani. He doesn't know that Ohtani's going to bail him out, but maybe he's making the bookmaker's making a calculated risk.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. There's so many maybes here.
The other part, too, about the lawyers changing the story, that feels like what's happening. I mean, if we're just going on what happened now, it looks like the story they were originally kind of trying to paint was Ohtani was being a good friend by bailing out the translator who had a gambling habit. And then the story changed. Ohtani had no idea about the gambling habit. And in fact, he's a victim of theft.
Our buddy Kevin Clark tweeted, one of these two men is a very, very good friend. It's either the interpreter or Shohei is the best friend ever.
You need friends like this. The fall guy. Oh, boy. Okay, lots more to do. Perloff is king for a day. We've got more news on Ohtani. We've got more on John Calipari and Kentucky's loss last night. Don't move.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
The scandal involving Shohei Ohtani, his interpreter, an illegal bookmaker in California, continues to unfold. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We get back to March Madness in just a moment, but we do have updates for you on what's going on with Ohtani. So, as they're making their way back from South Korea, at least we know these two things, that Ohtani's representatives have asked for an investigation into this quote-unquote massive theft that they're saying has occurred. They won't say who, but it's obvious that it'd be the interpreter, Mizuhara, who's been with Ohtani this entire time he's been in the United States, and even before that, they are very, very tight. Trying to investigate how Mizuhara misappropriated those funds, stole those funds, they're alleging, or was it the original story that the interpreter told, which was Ohtani handed over those funds to try to cover his friend who had fell into seven-figure gambling debt. So the latest update, Ohtani's people are asking for an investigation. There's another update on this too, which came down yesterday, which is the IRS is involved now. And you would expect the IRS is going to get involved when an illegal bookmaker gets busted, because you're wondering who's got these earnings, did they pay taxes on any of this money, and all that. So they confirm the IRS is involved, and Ohtani's people have asked for an investigation. That's the latest.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to come out about this. It feels like we're going to have this story front and center for about a month. Add in the language barrier, and Ohtani, when push comes to shove, will probably hide behind that to the media.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that Ohtani's going to be forthright with the media. Is there any chance of that? He's not going to explain this.
No way. I mean, he's not forthright about why he gave up 3 runs in the fifth inning. Why would he be a forthright about this massive scandal involving his own bank accounts, his best friend / interpreter? I mean, I don't think we're getting much from Ohtani.
This is what's shocking to me.
Yeah.
I feel like we were going to have a major gambling scandal. In fact, we might even have multiple ones going on. We had all the college stuff with Iowa last year. We had Iowa State. We had Temple basketball this year. We had Calvin Ridley and other players getting suspended in the NFL for betting on sports or betting in the wrong way or from the facility. So it's just a matter of time. It's just going to continue and continue. But to go immediately to Shohei Ohtani, who's the face of the sport, he's not LeBron, but he's the LeBron of baseball in a sense. This was sort of a leap ahead that I didn't expect this quickly. I expected a sports gambling scandal. I didn't expect Shohei. I think this really could change things.
Without a doubt. I mean, for baseball, first and foremost, because you're star and, presumably star, cash cow, the person who's going to be making you more appealing to international markets. I mean, everything, so much is riding on Ohtani. And if he has to serve a suspension, if he, just if his legacy is tarnished, I don't know if he's probably young enough in his career that he could come back from a lot of things. And get himself back into the good graces. But again, a suspension is not what baseball wants right now for this exciting player who just signed with one of the marquee crown jewel franchises of the sport. You finally get him out of Anaheim and you get him to the Dodgers. And, now this falls on your doorstep one game into the season.
Well, what do you mean get back in the good graces? If he didn't bet on baseball and he just bet on football, even if Shohei was somehow responsible for the betting and he bet on football, I think we're all going to be okay with that.
Well, that's kind of interesting, right? Because I guess we're going to have to get a little bit more comfortable with athletes betting on sports in big ways. And, there's just part of it to me that doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah.
Because even if you are a baseball player, your circle is bigger to include a lot of professional athletes. Like, it's not that far of a stretch for me to think that if you play baseball, you might encounter some NBA. You play baseball in LA, you probably know a couple Lakers and Clippers. You probably become
same trainer.
Right, same trainers, same agencies, stuff like that. I just find that athletes, I don't want to say they have to follow totally different rules than the rest of society, but they are definitely going to have insider info. Like, imagine if you played, football at Michigan, and even if you're now play for the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't know anybody on Michigan where you could have some insider information if you really want to get it to place a bet?
It's funny. My concern is almost the exact opposite. I feel like these athletes are going to lose bets, and then they're going to get in a hole, and then they're going to have to go to their sport to get out of that hole. So if you're an NFL player and you're betting on college basketball and you get in a hole, I read this yesterday. What's the sport that you're going to go to? Is you're going to go to football? And what if you get in a really, really big hole? The ultimate nightmare is that you throw a game.
Right. Well, so here's the thing, right? I think we're talking about the Shohei Ohtani gambling scandal right now and the impact, it's wider impact of gambling and athletes gambling in this era where gambling on sports has just become as big as it's ever been. I think nowadays the athletes are so well compensated, not all of them. And again, your long snappers are making $400,000. It's a great living. But if you get yourself into a lot of debt, that's going to go quickly.
There's get out of here.
But like
it doesn't matter. Gambling debt, you can wipe out $40 million a year like that.
I get it. But okay, for example, let's go back to Michael Jordan at The Last Dance.
Yes.
They asked him, do you think you have a gambling problem?
Right.
And he said, if I had a gambling problem, I would be destitute.
And you're listening to Michael Jordan.
Well, no, I'm saying, I
think there are people who said that Michael Jordan's had money issues in the past.
I think there's a lot of people who think that maybe that his father may have been murdered because of his gambling addiction or gambling habits. I didn't say addiction, his gambling habits. Now, that's never been confirmed.
No, there's been no proof of that.
No proof of that. It's a hell of a coincidence, but there is no proof on that, so I want to be careful. He may have paid the ultimate sacrifice, though, for his gambling. But here's the thing. I think that because guys make a lot of money, like Shohei Ohtani, $4.5 million to a guy is so rich he could defer $680 million. We're never going to see these guys as having like quote unquote problems, or I don't think they'd ever get themselves into a situation where they'd have to throw their own game, Black Sox style.
Oh, I totally disagree. Okay. I think they can. I mean, these pro athletes can spend money. First of all, not to get into this, the taxes and the agents and the other things, they cut all that money in half immediately, if not more. And then all of a sudden, it's easy to spend that money. It doesn't matter. You could be, how much money has Drew Brees made? And people talk about him having money problems. And look at that documentary about NBA players and Antoine Walker blowing all the money.
Yep.
It's easy. Gambling's tough. What if you have a real gambling addict? They can lose any money. And
look at Bruno Mars. We just saw that story
exactly.
came. Now people are denying that from MGM, but there was a story out there that Bruno Mars was $50 million in the $50 million of gambling debt to MGM where he was doing a residency.
Well, we say Shohei lost $4 million. That's easy to imagine. I mean, I don't think anyone's saying, well, how could Shohei lose $4 million? I think you can get into big trouble. Listen, we had some gambling scandals in the past, but it feels like the pace is picking up tremendously.
Well, yeah. And again, we ask, like, are we just going to have to all be okay now with stories coming out about athletes gambling on other sports? And listen, there's nothing we can do about it. I can't tell Jamison Williams, what are you doing? Why did you bet on a college football game from inside the Detroit Lions facility? He can do whatever he wants. He paid a 6-game suspension for it. But it just doesn't feel right. And these are always going to be, I think it's going to be a negative headline for these athletes if it comes out that they're betting on games a lot.
Well, I'm fine with them betting on other sports. I mean, unless at least the headline that we're waiting for is this guy bet against himself. And it's coming, Maggie. I think that is the real
Temple basketball. This is going to be the big one.
Or imagine if it happens in the pros. That is coming. I mean, we had Tim Donaghy in the NBA. To me, I still think the NBA skated on that whole scandal to a large degree. Like an official was betting on games, and how do we know that it has to happen other times? I actually don't have a problem with them betting on other sports. It doesn't worry me that much, but I do feel like we're headed towards a much bigger deal here, where eventually we're going to find out a star player through a game.
Again, there's just so many details of this particular one that I can't just.
Oh, I know.
You're forced to be stretched. Like this story right now is forcing you to stretch to beyond not just naive. Like I think you're naive if you don't think that Ohtani, if it was the interpreter, had any idea that he was gambling. Like that seems a stretch to me. It seems a stretch that a bookie would extend this line of credit to somebody, even if you're friends with Ohtani, even if you know you're an associate of Ohtani, to let a guy get $4.5 million in the hole. How do you think you're getting that money back?
Well, that I can believe. He knew he was Ohtani's interpreter, obviously. The other thing, too, Shohei Ohtani is the most unique player we've seen in 100 years.
Yeah.
It's not Bryce Harper or Mookie Betts. That would be a huge story in itself. But Shohei adds a lot to it because he is a historical player. I mean, we're talking Babe Ruth numbers here with the pitching and hitting, and everyone was so excited. The other thing, we were so excited to see him on a new team where he's going to win in the postseason. I wonder if that's going to go away now. Honestly, here's another problem. Do you trust MLB to handle this the right way?
No.
That was a rhetorical question.
And we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. Rick is in Sacramento. Hey, Rick, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I love your show. So I have two scenarios. I'll take your answers off the air. My first scenario is we have two wire transfers, $500,000 each by Ohtani. Okay. Don't you think that the bank, whatever he banks at, is going to call him back, double and triple check these wire transfers and making sure that he is who he say he is, and they're not going to do like say, for example, Perloff, I'm going to wire you $100 and give me last four years social. They're not going to do that. Also, that phone call from the bank to call him back to verify those, that's recorded. It's a recorded phone call. And my other scenario is, anybody ever think of this, is that even though they're best friends of the translator, the interpreter, and Ohtani, they're best friends, don't you think that he may have his full social and all of his information and use his laptop to make those transactions? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Rick, if he did that, if he's impersonating Ohtani, and thank you for the phone call, then he's going to jail. That's going to be major jail. That's wire fraud. That's a lot of things, I would imagine. That's big time fraud.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Ohtani and the interpreter were seen laughing in the dugout the other day. So this is all unfolding to Shohei Ohtani. If that's the case, then Shohei was clueless.
Right, and he is the victim of massive theft, and he will likely be cleared in this. Now, the idea that that if you have two $500,000 wire transfers, which is what's alleged in the story, that went directly from Ohtani's bank account to the illegal bookmaker, the fact that the bank would call to triple check this, it's not a bad thought. My question is, though, is someone who's speaking Japanese calling? or is somebody speaking English calling, and is the translator interpreting that phone call for Ohtani? Also, do they know? Apparently, this guy was a well-known bookmaker. I'm reading in the chat here. It looks like Pine Needle has some info here. In California, he's kind of well-known for holding celebrity poker tournaments. I don't know if that's true. I know that the interpreter did meet this guy at a poker tournament. He said that in 2021. But do you know that would the person be so infamous or famous that the bank would know, like, hey, why is that name familiar? Matthew Boyer. How do I know that name? It's like, because he's a bookie? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like the bank double checking with Ohtani about the transfer.
That's the thing. This is going to be impossible. If it was just a normal superstar, this would be hard to sort out. Now, they're just going to try and confuse us.
But if this is on a recorded line that the bank did call to check with Ohtani, hey, are you sure you want to send 2 $500,000 wire transfers to this person? Then I would imagine we'd be able to get that recording and that the police would be able to review it, right?
That feels like a conclude. I think you're maybe going too far. I'm not sure that's
ordering this thing.
Yeah. It's not a TV show. I'm not so sure we're going to actually get recordings of that.
I know it just happened a couple months ago. It's not like this happened 5 years ago, and they might not have the documentation.
I don't know. I'm not sure where this case goes. You definitely are playing this out in a certain way. It could go in 3 other directions.
True. 855-212-4CBS. P. Maddie's in the chat says, forgive my ignorance. I'm trying to figure out why it's such a big deal. I think he's talking about why it's a big deal if someone is placing bets. I believe that's what he's asking.
Meaning a pro athlete.
Yeah, like a pro athlete or maybe even someone close to them. I mean, I do think it's a big deal, even if in California the laws are such that the bookmaker takes on the risk of the illegality of sports betting. The bookmaker takes on more risk than the bet maker.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's illegal to take the bet and pay it off, but it's not illegal to make the bet. It's like a weird kind of language, but
Well,
again,
you say it's not illegal. Does that mean they don't enforce it, or it's literally not illegal?
No, it's illegal to do sports gambling, but I think it's the bookie who takes the brunt of it.
Well, I think it's the number too. $4.5 million is a big number.
Yeah.
Not for Ohtani, but still, that's a lot bigger than Jameson. What Calvin Ridley was $1,500.
Yeah, on a 5-game parlay.
Yeah, and everyone knows parlays are silly. So
Clearly he's a terrible gambler.
He's not a professional gambler.
Forgive me if this sounds a little indelicate. Tell me if I'm being a busybody here and a little too nosy. Don't you want to know the biggest bet this guy lost? The translator.
Yeah.
If it's a translator or Ohtani, don't you want to? Because he said to the ESPN reporter, I'm a terrible gambler. Like, was he betting on the Chargers? Like, what was he doing that was so bad? I want to know the worst bet he ever made.
Yeah, it's like that guy who stole $22 million from the Jaguars was famous for losing every single daily fantasy matchup. This guy, what is a bad bet?
He's just like looking at Nathan Peterman like, this is my guy.
Well, I always go back to one of my favorite Simpsons episodes when Krusty the Clown becomes a gambling addict and he blows all his money by betting on the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters. He's like, they were due.
Exactly.
Is he Krusty the Clowning this?
Who is the Washington Generals of professional sports?
Washington Commanders.
I was going to say Commanders. I think it's the Chargers. Bet on the Chargers. That's an adventure.
Oh, yeah. It depends what part of the season we're in.
That's true.
And what half, generally, or what quarter. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got some NFL to get to give you today. We also have Kentucky. Down goes Big Blue last night, losing to Oakland, the 14 seed. And what does the future for John Calipari hold? So much. And as if we couldn't add more on top of that, Perloff is king for a day. He got the most games correct in the first day of March Madness, which means he is king for a day. He's already made Pete Pilati sing I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred. Congratulations, Pete. You made it through.
and if you want to hear that again, go back and listen on the Odyssey app.
It's there.
I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
Maggie, I think you're next.
Oh, boy.
I think you're after the break.
Perloff king for a day. What could go wrong? We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. I'm old enough to remember yesterday, Maggie, when I told somebody that Coach Cal might be in trouble and I was called a hater. Oh, look who's calling in. It's Big Dave from Kentucky. Big Dave, remember when I told you Cal might be in some trouble?
You never. I'm McLovin. You never told me that. Are you drinking this early?
I was. Listen, come on. A lot of people knew Kentucky might be a little wobbly yesterday.
Listen. Give me my platform, McLovin. Give me my platform.
Good morning, Dave.
Right?
I'm here
Good morning,
too.
Guys.
All right.
I know. Hi, Maggie. I love you guys. But listen, now hang on, McLovin. Reel this back. You're optimist. I'm an optimistic person, and even though we've had a conversation a couple times throughout the year about Kentucky, I am not at all surprised about last night. Mags, I'm a little surprised at you.
Me?
Yeah.
By the way, Big Dave is calling from Kentucky. He's a massive Kentucky Wildcats fan. That goes without saying. And Dave, I was waiting to hear from you, but you have a problem with me. Why is that?
Well, it's not that I have a problem with you. It's just that the diatribe that you kind of went on early about how it would be a massive mistake to get rid of Cal. I mean, listen, here's the thing. Hear me out, okay? Yeah. And I am the voice of reason. It's not just been a couple of years. You guys realize that we have one NCAA tournament win and one SEC tournament win in 5 years. Do you realize that we are ranked 13th out of 14 SEC schools in tournament win percentage over the last 5 years? Here's the thing about Cal, and going forward, here's the problem. Cal's recruiting success has been predicated on rolling these teams over year to year, telling these elite freshmen, you come in, you get playing time. You can't. So what you're saying that needs to happen now, and like Jay Wright was talking about, the direction that college basketball has gone, that it's becoming harder and harder to have success by doing that. That goes against everything that Cal is. I don't think he has the ability to utilize the transfer portal and whatnot as a primary source of recruiting. I just don't. This is not sour grapes. This is not the morning after crap. I mean, I am a realist.
No, I get it, Dave, but why not? See, that's the thing. He's a legend in the sport. He's already in the Hall of Fame. Like, why not think that if push comes to shove, he could do it a different way? People act like college basketball has been this way with the, with older team, with the current way we're seeing it. Like, it's been this way for a long time. It really hasn't. This is all changing right before our eyes ever since the pandemic. It's been a lot different when NIL came into play.
Yeah, but I mean, one and done. What year did that start? So it's not like it had been the other way for that long.
No, but Cal perfected it,
His ego won't allow him to do that. It's not who he is. I mean, you have to understand what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
His success has not been and I'm not saying that he's a terrible coach, but Cal's success for the most part. Okay, here's the thing. Do you understand that since he's been here in 15 years, the worst recruiting class that he's had has been number 2?
No, he always gets them.
In this year's All-Star game, that there were no less than 8 former Kentucky players in the All-Star game. 6 of those had played here in the last 7 years. I mean, it's just, the thing about it is, that is not who he is, Max. I understand your rationale, I really do. But from someone that's been here, that is not who he is. It's just not. His success has been predicated on recruiting these superstar kids that come in here. That's all he knows how to do. I mean, and with the premise and promise of rolling the team over year after year after year.
So, Dave, who do you want? Who do you want?
He's not going to change.
Who's your answer then? If Maggie's wrong about Cal, who do you want next year?
I don't know. I'm not one of these people that puts out a hit list. I mean, I'm not that short sighted. I'm just telling you that and like Mag was saying earlier, well, it could be a whole lot worse. I don't know that it can. I mean, seriously, I don't know that it can. There's people out there. People use the excuse, okay, who are you going to replace him with? They do the same thing with Mark Stoops. Are you here to tell me that there's not someone in the country that can at least improve on what we are doing? Nobody cares about that word knife on the 2nd of January. We're ranked 9th on the 2nd of January. Now, if we're a one seed next year at the tournament, and you're a 16 seed team, and you get your pick of which 1 seeds that you'd want to play, who are you going to want to pick?
Well, Purdue, but I get.
Oh, please!
I get
No,
what
you
you're.
wouldn't.
No, I get what you're saying, Dave. I guess there's just the idea that, and I would still hang on to it, that you have so much talent in the building that your fortunes can change at any moment. If he was losing out on recruits, right? If people thought that he was stale and he wasn't getting these good bodies into the building, then I'd be worried. That's when I feel like your team's hitting rock bottom. When you're still getting those big recruits, you're always right there. I know hope's of a dirty word, but you're one run away.
This isn't rock bottom. Rock bottom losing in the first round of the NIT? All right, Dave,
Listen,
thanks for the call. I got to embarrass Maggie. We got important things to do here.
Dave.
Like really embarrass Maggie.
Let me close with this really fast. I'll leave you guys with this. Nobody in college basketball, college athletics at this level has done less with more than John Calipari. Have a great day, guys.
No, Dave, and try to enjoy your weekend. I was hoping that Dave would call.
Okay.
Yes, even if he disagrees.
Now it's time to answer a very important question, one that's been around since the year 2000. Who let the dogs out, Maggie? I am king for the day because I won day one of our tournament bracket, and I get to make anybody do anything I want here. I am having everybody sing a song from our one-hit wonder, but you don't get to sing.
Thank
you
God.
have to do a dramatic poetry reading of the song Who Let the Dogs Out. And I want it like we're in English class at a pristine college, and you're reading it as if it's Shakespeare.
What makes you think I know what that's like? Okay. Well, I'll try my best.
Yes, I want to picture you with a pipe, the tweed jacket.
Okay.
Very sophisticated read of Who Let the Dogs Out.
I will try my best. I'm not the English lit major around here. I'm not the Ivy League educated.
Very progressive imagery of noir movie making from Perloff there. With
Yeah,
Maggie with
I know.
the twill and the pipe.
Ahem. Gather round all. Let me tell you about a tale. Well, the party was nice. The party was pumping. Hey, hippie hey ho. And everybody having a ball. Ha ha. Hippie hey ho. Until the fellas started name calling. Hippie hey ho. And the girls respond to the call. I heard a woman shout out, ha ha ha. Who let the dogs out? Who? Who let the dogs out? Who? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who? Last year in the dance, you had a ball. Called me Mealybug. Get back, Gruffy. Back, Scruffy. Get back, you flea-infested mongrel. Gonna tell myself, hey, man, no get angry. Hey, hippie hey-ho. To any girls calling them canine, hey, hippie hey-ho. But they tell me, hey, man, it's part of the party. Hippie hey-ho. You put a woman in front and her man behind. Ha, ha, ha. I heard a woman shout, who let the dogs out? Did not
Everybody,
know
you gotta snap
this
at a
was a sexual innuendo until 5 minutes ago. This whole time, I thought who let the dogs out meant the Mets. No, I thought it meant just like a fighter's attitude.
That was
I thought
amazing.
maybe an angry mailman.
I did not know. Sometimes, it's taking off your shoes. I did not know what who let the dogs out meant. I kid you not, until 5 minutes ago.
According to the author of the song, it is a feminist anthem critical of men who catcall women.
That's what I was thinking too.
So actually, I don't think it is. It's a many-layered song. I just realized too, you have a 4-year-old child at home.
Yeah.
You read that as if it was Dr. Seuss.
Oh, did I?
A little
Sorry.
bit.
I can't do Shakespeare, dude. I've never done Shakespeare. I can't do Shakespeare.
I was amazing. I was in a coffee shop. I was transcended. And I think Who Let the Dogs Out is poetry. I think I never realized that till right now. People think it's a one-hit wonder. It is a beautiful lyrical message of hope.
It is a little Dr. Seussy though. I guess.
My favorite was when you did who. A lot of who's in there.
It's a lot of who's, yeah. You handed me a lot of who's.
God, that didn't embarrass you at all. That sounded amazing.
Well,
that
not
was
really.
like, you should perform that
It was definitely
around the country.
It was definitely kind of like describing some kind of graphic sex scene. So, good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Kentucky lost last night.
I did
Maggie
not,
Gray unplugged.
yeah, I did not give you the next set of lyrics get into very specific sex song. All anyone knows from that song is "Who Let the Dogs Out." There are other lyrics. I just want to point that out. Good job.
If I'm going to read those other more explicit sexual lines, then I'm going to have to charge a cover. I'm not giving that away for free on terrestrial radio. No, you're going to have to pay for that.
Okay. By the way, that was good. Pete Bellotti doing "I'm Too Sexy" was good. EJ,
2 more people to go here.
EJ is dreading what he has to sing. Dreading. I can tell. The second I told him the song, just the frown on his face.
What is Peter Schwartz going to do?
Peter Schwartz actually has a choice.
A choice.
I gave him 2 songs, but you have to do your songs in Bane voice from Batman.
Oh, wow. All right. Perloff is king for a day.
Is this like an old joke from the DA show?
Apparently so. Apparently you were known for your Bane impersonation.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Oh, great.
That's off the front.
Even better. Okay, so this is what's going on. Perloff's king for a day. He got the most games right, picked the most games right yesterday in the first day of March Madness, and now he's making us do ridiculous things. I heard a woman shout out, ha, ha, ha. Honestly, singing would have been better.
Yeah, I did most of this just for the drops. These are going to be said forever. Having Bellotti go, "I'm too sexy for my shirt," that'll work anytime.
I am.
Peter Schwartz's headlines. Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Let's begin with the NCAA tournament, and we'll start in the South region.
Horn drives into trouble in traffic, throws back to the top for O'Connell. Now inside, Middlebrooks, position, shot, up, good. What a night for Ben Middlebrooks. 18 points, a career high.
Scott Graham had the call on Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. Number 11 NC State beat number 6 Texas Tech 80-67. Ben Middlebrooks 21 points. Also in the South, number 14 Oakland upsetting number 3 Kentucky 80-76. But Oakland guard Jack Goki says, don't call this an upset.
As a player, you can't think that way. You got to go out there and you got to think that you have the same talent level as them. I know they have draft picks, and I know I'm not going to the NBA, but I know on any given night I can compete with those type of guys, and our team can compete with those type of guys. And that's why I was so confident going into it, and that's why I say we're not a Cinderella, because when we play our A game, we can be the best team on the floor.
Yeah, you're also 40. Like you're a full-grown person. I feel like we should cue the Mike Gundy. It's like, I'm a man. I'm 40. They are much older than.
But to his credit, I mean, listen, they're playing great for older guys. I think it's a testament to their fitness, maybe inspired by Tom Brady.
By the way, did you see Edwards last night? Kid Edwards from Kentucky. He was gassed. He's a freshman, right? I believe he was a freshman. He was calling for a sub the whole second half.
Yeah, Coach Cal said that. He said that when you he said my team was anxious because we have anxiety. You get tired really fast. He said I had guys in the first 5 minutes that were exhausted.
They were not. Dillingham said we weren't ready, and that's an indictment on Cal.
The team I watched, I got tired. Did you guys watch Wagner, North Carolina? Yeah. Wagner only has 7 guys, and they were all in foul trouble. That was a disaster.
I know. It was funny because it was such an accomplishment to only have 7 players on your team is wild. And they went up against North Carolina. It was like, oh boy.
The game was close, but it's like 15-15, and you could see them running out of steam then. There's no way they could have won that.
I was listening to that actually on the radio on the Westwood One call, and it was really funny. So it was Casey Jacobson was calling this with, I think, Beninati? Jason Benetti. I believe it was Benetti and Casey Jacobson. And Casey Jacobson's going, he goes, all right, so you got 2 guys on the bench in uniform. You got like 3 coaches and then just a bunch of dudes in polos. Yeah. And I have no idea what any of those guys do. They literally needed people to fill in the bench like seat warmers.
Oh, they weren't even players?
No, because they don't have enough people on the team.
I thought they were all injured players in street clothes. It was weird. Because they don't really have just 7 guys. People are hurt, right?
Yeah, they probably have those probably were basketball managers, honestly.
Could be.
Guys who, catch rebounds and stuff like that. They actually practice sometimes.
Yeah, they had to get the quarterback of the football team to come just to help them get through a practice as a body.
So I have a question, because I had a friend who once was a basketball player on his D3 school, and they ran out of bodies, so they had him play on the tennis team. Like, if you had to pull
does that skill translate?
It was bizarre because my friend never played tennis. If you had to pull one sport randomly to be pulled into to play college sports, what do you think you do the best at tomorrow?
I think it's tennis players to pitchers, right? Or quarterback to pitcher is probably the best one, right?
Or to shortstop or something. Yeah.
Well, I know Andre Agassi was the famous, maybe this is an old wives' tale or urban legend, but Andre Agassi, because he was such a great return of server, he could see the ball so well that they said he could step into a batter's box and hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It was a similar skill set.
That's utterly insane.
I'm going to find the story for you.
That doesn't sound
right.
Obviously,
there's been a lot of two-sport athletes.
No, but I'm saying, but like a guy who's not played the sport ever and saying an emergency. Like these
sorry,
guys,
I misunderstood. Okay.
Right, and then like my friend who was a basketball player that was a tennis player.
Now I get Agassi. Okay,
yeah, I think it's pitcher to baseball to quarterback.
Yeah, but what quarterback didn't play baseball growing up?
Well,
I mean,
Tom Brady was a catcher.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes was supposed to be a professional baseball player. That's tough to play. What if, Maggie, you had to go out on the college basketball court? I always wondered, what if I had to play 10 minutes in the NBA? Like, would they stash me?
Dream?
No.
Are you naked in this?
What would the team do? They'd stash me in the corner to keep me out of the fray? I don't even know. You've never had this fantasy?
Defensively, they would hunt you like crazy.
That's what I mean.
You'd be in every pick and roll action.
Yeah, basically,
all of us would.
You would kind of have to hide somewhere on the court. So that first of all, you don't get injured.
Like where? Under the basket stanchion? Like where are you going to hide?
You would be playing zone, but the zone would be the size of your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You guard this one square foot right here, and the other four guys would guard the rest of the.
What if you had to play one down of NFL football?
That's the scariest.
That I would be physically harmed, but
you would just run away from the line of scrimmage the exact opposite way, right?
We did get to return serve once at a tennis camp I went to from Chanda Rubin.
Oh,
they lined up and she hit serves at us, and we all ducked out of the way.
Oh, that's funny. Did anybody get a racket on it?
No, not even close.
Have you ever gone in the batting cage and tried to hit a 90 or
I can't hit 60.
Getting 90? Oh, my God.
60's coming in so hot in a batting cage. Like, whoa. I'm like Jeter. Like, I'm backing up off the plate.
Yeah. Juan Sotoing in the batter's box.
Yeah. That might be the most dangerous.
The fastball,
that would be very dangerous.
A ball.
Yeah. I wouldn't even hang in. I wouldn't be able to. I know this about myself. No shot.
I played goalie for a lacrosse team in practice. It was like a mock practice that was shot for TV, and the goalies on the team weren't available because they had their full-time job. So they had me dress up as the goalie.
Yeah, that's
scary. I made a couple of saves.
Oh, wow.
But then the only piece of the equipment that didn't fit was the chest protector underneath the jersey. Like, they didn't have one that fit me. So I made sure I told everybody before they started, please just don't shoot it at my chest or my stomach. And, of course, one clown on the team fires a ball right at my stomach, and I had to go to my full-time day job right after this in the morning. And when I went back to change, I had this big red mark, and you could see the name of the company of the lacrosse ball.
Oh my God!
On my stomach. That's how hard it got.
And I bet that person went to Duke.
I would love to see. How about if you don't know how to ice skate and you had to go out on an NHL? I have this image of you, Peter, just slowly like walking on skates, just getting decleated.
That's maximum funny.
That'd be the
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I can't believe I just heard. I'm sorry. Anyone else? So they just pulled you to be the goalie in practice.
Yeah.
It
was a mock setup practice because a local TV station was doing their morning show from practice.
They needed a body.
So they generally the players practiced one night during the week at this facility, and they played on the weekend. It's like a weekend warrior thing, indoor lacrosse. So when they wanted to shoot this on a Friday morning, they tried to get like 5, 6. Everybody had full-time jobs, so they were able to get like 6 or 7 of the runners, of the regular players, but all 3 goalies were unavailable because of their full-time job. So I had always joked with the players that if I could ever play a position, it would be goalie because I'm huge and I could block the goal. So when the coach that night at practice during the week said, who can we get to play goalie? Everybody pointed at me because I was there to do interviews for the broadcast that week. So I suited up as the goalie. But again, the only thing they didn't have for me that fit was the chest protector underneath. And I paid the price for it.
Feels like an important thing to be missing.
We don't have a helmet. We don't have a chest protector. We got no stick for you, but get out there.
I made a great glove save on one of the better players on the team, but not many other saves that morning. Like one big giant welt on my stomach.
Well, that's why. I think that's why you got the welt.
It's too bad you don't call Wagner basketball. You could have actually suited up in the NCAA tournament, probably.
we need a center. All 3 of our centers are injured.
Yeah, got any eligibility left?
I don't think Wagner would put me to work after my son chose LIU over them. So
That's
I don't
true.
think they would put me to
Billy's
work
in the
there.
chat said curling to rugby. That would be.
What?
If your school's got curling and your school's got rugby, if they're like, hey, we need somebody in the scrum, we need the curling team. That might be a little tough.
Yeah, what?
That makes no sense. Rugby's the most physical, toughest sport. Curling, you can be drinking a beer while
That's
you're doing
what he's
it.
saying. EJ's asking. This is the opposite, right?
Oh, the opposite.
This is the
Okay.
worst end. Yeah, that would be the worst end for sure.
Although
the football.
The in common thing is the beer. Curlers like to drink and rugby players
There's
like to drink.
That's true. We also have Adam says a hockey player could probably pick up some golf clubs and do okay. Little Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I can see that.
Peter, thank you so much.
You're
sir.
welcome.
Appreciate that. Lots back, you flea-infested mongrel. Gonna tell myself, hey, man, no get angry. Hey, hippie, hey-ho. When someone asks for a dramatic read of Who Let the Dogs Out, I deliver. Hey, hippie, hey-ho.
I think EJ's up next.
Perloff is king for a day, and
Yes.
he's making us do silly things.
Who?
More
Who?
about that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Who?
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. I have to admit, I'm disappointed. I'm king for a day because I won the first day of our bracket challenge, but I wanted to embarrass you guys. Somehow, Maggie turned Who Let the Dog Out into poetry. It was Shakespeare. It was like Dr. Seuss. You turned one of the more embarrassing songs in history, Who Let the Dogs Out, into a celebration of partying and a feminist call for equality.
I heard a woman shout out, ha ha ha.
It was awesome. But let's go the other direction.
By the way, that song won a Grammy.
Yeah.
We got to take it up with the committee.
It's a big song. All right.
Jeez.
Let's bring it the other way. I think if maybe the most embarrassing thing that you or I have that wasn't us on the show was EJ singing Sweet Caroline
we had
last
no
year.
idea what we were sitting on. I mean, just EJ, first of all, so talented.
Yeah.
So many gifts. Great voice. How are you this bad of a singer? We never could see it coming. It was Oakland over Kentucky.
Caroline?
It was a shock.
Yeah.
Well, you tell me to do anything a cappella, or I don't get the right exact melody to help me out, I'm screwed. Which is going to make this very interesting.
Okay.
All right. Well.
So everyone's got to
quite
sing.
a setup.
Everyone's got to sing a song from our one hit wonder bracket, and I had to choose this one for EJ. "Ice Ice Baby" by my friend Vanilla Ice.
Oh, great.
Hit it.
All right, stop and collaborate. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, follow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow to the extreme. I rock a mic and like a vandal, light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance, go rush the speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. That's a terrible line. Deadly when I pass a dope melody. Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it. You better gangway, you better hit the bullseyes. The kid don't play and there's a problem. Yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
Hey, EJ, have you never heard this song before?
Ice, baby. No, of course I have. It's
Are
like,
you sure?
If I don't have lyrics in front of me to know when to hit the lyrics, then I'm not. I just explained this 2 minutes ago, and I'm like, this is going to happen again. I jumped in, but just like Sweet Caroline, I jumped in too early.
Yeah, something fell off the entire time.
No, I jumped in too early. So then, now, I actually think I had most of the melody right because I have heard this song.
Nope.
No, I did. But I think the problem is if I'm not with the beat, then it doesn't matter.
It sounded like you were reading an eye chart.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think you've ever stopped, collaborated, and listened.
That's what I'm saying. I know you've heard the song, but have you really?
Yeah, I don't think you're not cooking MCs like a pound of bacon like Vanilla Ice did.
Look, if you go to my Spotify, the only Ice Ice Baby you'll see streamed is probably from last week when I was pulling it for the show.
But EJ, I thought
it's not your fault, dude.
I thought you were a huge hip hop fan.
Well, this
that
isn't
is why
real.
you don't see or hear me listening to Vanilla Ice. Exactly. That's exactly.
You cannot tell the story of rap without talking about Vanilla Ice.
Robbie Van Winkle.
Apologies to Public Enemy. Apologies to KRS-One.
And you can't tell if he's Suge Knight was holding him upside down outside a balcony. That's the only
definitely
thing.
apologies to Suge Knight.
Dilbo said 3 shots of tequila, you might sound a little bit better. We can't advocate for that. It's 9 a.m. Eastern.
But that's the thing. If I got a rap song that I know that I listen to, it would sound better.
Well, then Perloff wouldn't be doing his duty as king for a day.
Exactly. King Perloff is, the mad king.
Good point. Wow. All right. I never thought we'd get anything better than Sweet Caroline. And yet, here we are.
Ice, ice, baby.
It
really is. The lyrics are comical. I mean, what year was that? Was it 89?
It was the part where EJ got lost on the check out my hook while my DJ revolves it. It was nothing there.
Then started giving commentary to it.
It's like this line sucks.
That I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom line is awful.
Oh my gosh.
It was 1989.
There were lyricists in 1989 doing something better than this.
We never said we never said he was good. We just said it was a big hit. Oh my gosh, that was funny. How? Anyway, the last person up is Peter Schwartz, who's got to pay off their whatever this is.
I actually gave Peter a choice because he has to sing in Bane from Batman's voice, and he chose Macarena. So that should be pretty exciting.
I thought he was going to do 99 Luft balloons in German.
Pete, it gets better. He said he loves to dance to the Macarena.
If I haven't mentioned it, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, where apparently Peter Schwartz will be dancing to the Macarena.
No, put it on.
EJ can't get over how Peter Schwartz got nailed by a lacrosse ball in the chest.
That story to me is still unbelievable. I know we're running out of time, but that was crazy. Everything he said. The fact that they were doing a story on lacrosse at 6 a.m. in the morning. Why was that happening?
Yeah,
I know. Also, it's New York City. It's not like there's other stories.
Why was there 10, 15 reporters there? Like, even that part didn't make sense.
He did say 10 to 15. This story is like Ohtani. It just doesn't make any sense.
None of it adds up. That's why I'm sitting there like,
Who wired the money?
They just happen to not miss the most important equipment for a goalie is a chest protector? What?
Did he really not bet on baseball? It seems impossible.
You know those players are making bets on that.
The bet is, can you make them unconscious? All right, 855-212-4CBS. We get to more Ohtani next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
There are a lot of weird emphases.
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Down goes Big Blue. The tournament delivered on the first day, Perloff, with Kentucky losing again to a double-digit seed. This time, it was Oakland, the Golden Grizzlies, winning the first NCAA tournament game in the coach's 40 years at the school. One of the players on the team hit 10 three-pointers in this game, and they send Cal and the Wildcats packing. The question is, was that the last game that John Calipari has coached for the Wildcats?
Okay, just eyeballing that game. It was 38-35 at half. You could just tell Oakland's just as good a team as Kentucky, and the reason is Kentucky has freshmen out there on the court. Their big men are bigger, that's true, but their guards are less experienced, so it is not surprising when you look back at it, and that is the problem with Kentucky basketball. They are just consistently too young. I don't care where you're going in the draft. If you're 18 or 19, you're not stopping my man, 24-year-old
Jack Golke?
Jack Golke, yeah. My guy, lifelong
your guy.
fan.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I think you saw exactly the problem with Kentucky last night, that their star players are just not developed yet.
Okay, well, that to me doesn't mean you throw Calipari out onto the street. And that's what a lot of people are calling for today. And I know you are one of them who thinks that this is a slide and a downturn that can't be salvaged. And that's where you and I are going to disagree. I know that Kentucky is the premier program, one of them, in college hoops. I understand that they would have a lot of very good candidates to come in here. But with a sport like basketball, I think you're just one talented class away. Like, I will still believe that you are still one talented class away.
How can you get a more talented class than any class they've had? Listen, look at some of their lineups. They had Jamal Murray and Devin Booker there at basically the same time. There's no more talented class. It doesn't matter who you bring in. Who are you going to bring in? A young LeBron and Wembanyama to team up? There's no more talented class than they've had. It just doesn't work anymore.
Okay, well, this is the thing. Why couldn't it work with some tweaks? Why do you have to throw everything out? It feels like people want to throw out the last 15 years because all of a sudden now I'm hearing not only can Cal not win now, but it's like he never could win. It's like we didn't see 4 Final Fours. We never saw 7 Elite Eights here. We never saw a national championship. I get it. The star power is there. And maybe it's more stars than championships, but you were able to align both. You were able to align star power with being a really competitive team. And listen, how many championships has Duke won in the last 10 years? Like, it's not easy to do this, and I don't want to just get rid of someone, a recruiter like Cal, and a talented coach like Calipari. Listen, is he the best X's and O's coach? No, neither is Andy Reid. You can still win even if you are not the best X's and O's coach.
That's not the point, though. The point is his style of recruiting is no longer working. And yes, he could cover up some of his flaws with that talent. And he's not the worst coach. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard to coach 18-year-olds. It's a lot easier when you have a guy who's 24. So that's one thing to say. Maybe it defends his coaching that he just doesn't have the experience. And our guy last night, Reed Shepherd, possibly a top 10 pick in the NBA, he's clearly not developed, Maggie.
Right. Well, he should come back. See, that's the thing. Yeah. He should come back. I'm not going to tell a guy don't make money in the NBA. But you know what? To be honest, like, it's not as dire now. You used to be able to make no money. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you weren't making any money. Now you're making NIL. If you want to develop, I mean, I would stay the extra year. Yep. He's going to go to the NBA and he's going to get torched. So, by the way, you say bring in one great class. Can I give you the 2014 John Calipari class? He brought in Karl Anthony Towns, Trey Lyles, Devin Booker, and Tyler Ulis. If that 4 guys can't win a title, there's no class out there. Perloff, they went to the Final Four.
They didn't win a title with that class. I mean, that's...
But going to the Final Four, like, that isn't that sort of...
No, that's the thing with Kentucky. Kentucky was a disappointment. Even when they won that title with Anthony Davis, John Calipari, I think the perception out there, he was still underachieving with his talent. I mean, he was basically... Future Hall of Famers were coming in. He should have won more with that talent.
Wasn't that an undefeated team that lost in the Final Four? They were 38-1.
Disappointing.
Okay, but guys, that's a disappointment. Come on. Now we're really kidding ourselves.
Wait. This is Kentucky we're talking about.
I think Final Fours in college hoops, I think we do this with Duke. We do this with North Carolina. We do this with Kansas. No. I think so.
No, and we don't do it with Duke either. Duke not winning a title is a disappointing year. Back when Coach K was near his prime.
Also, I mean, we talk about Final Fours. I mean, it was been 3. I'm looking at
4 for Cal.
4 and 1 championship.
Going back how long?
15 years with Cal's there.
Right. He's been there for 15 years. You've had the best talent every single year. And it's kind of what I mentioned earlier, Perloff reading that recruiting class. Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns come into next year in the NBA. They're immediately impact players. Karl Anthony Towns, Rookie of the Year. Devin Booker, immediate star. Like, do you see the players that Kentucky's bringing in, these one-and-done guys? Do you look at them and say, those guys are going to be dogs next year? No.
Wait a minute.
It's the caliber of player he's getting from high school, even if they are highly ranked, just aren't as good.
Right. Okay. Wait, hold on. We can talk about that. We can talk about developing talent, but let's go back through Kentucky, right? You're like, Cal, he only won 1 championship. How many championships did Rick Pitino win? 1. How many championships did Tubby Smith win? 1.
Yeah, but Tubby Smith, that's who he wants to be?
Well, that was the year after Rick Pitino.
Well, Rick Pitino rebuilt Kentucky. That's not fair.
Okay, whatever. So John Calipari rebuilt Kentucky. I mean, they were in a bad spot.
But there was not. But Rick Pitino Eddie Sutton had those sanctions that they were coming from. Now, look, Rick Pitino probably didn't give Kentucky some sanctions, but they were coming off of massive recruiting violations when Kentucky took that program over.
I'm just saying, John Calipari took it over, and within 3 years, he had won a title.
But Pitino also won elsewhere, too. I mean...
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But John Calipari also took UMass to a Final Four. So, it's not like we haven't had success other places. That's why I think that everyone's being a little too hard on Cal right now. It's easy to dunk on him now today, and it's easy because they lost to St. Peter's 2 years ago, and that was disappointing. You lost to Kansas State last year. It's disappointing. And now you lose again.
Princeton last year.
No, that was Kansas State last year.
Oh,
Kansas State in the second round, yeah.
Oh, okay. What did they? Oh, they didn't lose. They weren't. That was Arizona lost to Princeton. My bad. But Yeah, I mean, by the way, one more class. Look at 2016. De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo, and Malik Monk. I mean, come on.
And also,
come on, Maggie.
And look at
Malik Monk, though, wasn't very good at the beginning of his NBA career. It's taken a bit since him going from Charlotte to Sacramento. These guys do have to develop.
Now you're downgrading Malik Monk? I mean, that's what you got here?
Malik Monk was on the way to being, I think, probably a little bit of a bust, and Sacramento resurrected the career.
But think about these teams Cal's had, though. Looking at the rankings before the season for most of these years, like 2013, number 3, 2014, number 1, number 2, number 5, number 5, number 2. He's coming in these seasons with expectations that they're going to be in the Final Four every year. It's not like this is a team that's ranked 20 or 23, and they're like, well, if they make the Final Four, well, that would be a great accomplishment because nobody expected that. People came in every year the last decade thinking they were going to win a championship, and he has won?
Okay, but EJ, let's...
Rick Pitino was, again, taking over a whole different situation. Tubby Smith, he had a great team, but he was there for a short time period. Calipari's been there for 14 years.
Okay, well, let's go back to Duke then. I think Duke would have similar profile, similar great players, and similar expectations. Would we not say that? The last time they won the national title was what? 2014, 2015. Cal's was 2012. So we're talking about at least the same neighborhood.
And where's Coach K right now?
Well, he's retired, but here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at lost the regional semifinal, second round, regional final, 2 years to make the tournament. One was COVID year. Then you're in the Final Four, 2020. To 2021, and then since it's been second round, and then we'll see what they do this year. It's not like it's been Final Four after Final Four after Final Four. Guys, like you're putting Cal and you're putting up this standard and saying like he's failing where all these other coaches are thriving, and I'm just giving you other teams of the same profile who are doing the same thing.
But
everyone's trying to figure out life after one and done.
Cal hasn't been past second round since 2019. That's not good.
And so
is it 1-3 or 1-4 in the last 5 tournament games?
But if I'm to believe that it doesn't matter as long as you don't win the championship, it doesn't matter. And I'm telling you, Duke hasn't been winning the championship. They got to one Final Four in this time, the same time frame we're talking about, basically the last 10 years.
Well, one Final Four and then one title.
And they did win a title.
And
they won a title 2014, 2015. Cal won one in 2012. They're not that far away from each other.
They're pretty. Actually, you just described. Duke's been more successful. But
you guys, it doesn't matter if you go to the Final Four.
Coach K lost his mojo. There's no doubt about it. Just like he's gone. I mean, eventually Cal's going to be gone. The question is, can he change his style before he's 65, before it becomes too late? And just his style, he seems kind of stubborn. He seems stuck to this one way of doing things.
I think a primary difference also is, unfortunately for Calipari, the record on paper could look similar to Coach K, but unfortunately we have eyeballs. So we watch his team making stupid mistakes, leaving guys open, not being able to pass and catch. We watch them make grade school basketball mistakes constantly, where when we watch Coach K teams lose, they lost, but we didn't sit here saying, oh my God, Coach K, what was going on? Like, what was that defense? How come they didn't adjust? We don't ask those questions because Coach K is a much better coach than him.
Well,
we all know it.
I think it's just because you don't have, going back to what was the last time Duke lost to Lehigh with C.J. McCollum.
All right, you're going back to we're
going back far. No, we're going back far, but that's the embarrassing one. Cal's had 2 embarrassing ones in the last 3 years, basically. So that it's the recency of that. But if you're talking about let's expand it out to the last 10 years, it's not like Duke has been this rocket ship and Kentucky has been sitting on the side of the road with a flat tire.
I don't know. Also, one thing, Duke's had amazing players, obviously, but Kentucky's really had amazing players. So I think at the end of the day, that's the disappointment.
Yeah, but Duke gets whoever they want to.
Yeah, but I think you're saying,
That's why I'm bringing Duke up.
I thought you were about to say, but Kentucky, all those guys are one and done. So that's the excuse.
No, Duke, they're one and done. Jason Tatum's one and done. Those guys are all one and done.
To be fair, Coach K really adopted the John Calipari school, but I think a lot of people will argue he's been doing it better than Cal for the last 10 years or so.
Okay, and what happened? It started to change. What I'm saying is the landscape has started to change, and it's been relatively recent. So to think that Cal couldn't catch up with it, to me, that would be the mistake.
But in Coach K's last year, he went to the Final Four.
Yeah, but also, that being said, I think everyone agreed Coach K had lost his fastball by the end.
And even if that's the case.
Yeah, they were not the dominant team. They would have. You don't think they were ready to move on from Coach K?
No, but so we're talking about the last 10 years, and you're telling me Coach K went to a Final Four. I'm telling you Coach Calipari went to a championship game and lost, and apparently that doesn't matter.
It doesn't, because that's years ago.
It was Karl Anthony Towns. It wasn't,
No, but I'm saying
it wasn't Jamal Mashburn.
Mike Krzyzewski's last season with one and done guys, he went to a Final Four. Coach Cal's been coaching with these one-and-done guys for I don't know how many years, since 2019, not even getting to the second weekend. I think that's a major difference. I think we see the tournament success that Coach K had in more recent times compared to what Calipari's done recently.
I get it, but that was also, if you look at winning the national title for Duke in 2014, 2015, and then making it back to the Final Four, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in between. So it's not like that was the consistency. They were consistently still going to the Final Four. They're losing in the second round. They're losing in the regional final, the Elite Eight. It's not like they were there every single year. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think the profiles are that far apart.
Right. I think it was time for both coaches to move on, to be honest.
Well, Coach K definitely did. Adrian's in Maryland's got a thought on Coach Calipari's future. Hey, Adrian, what's up?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Hey, my thought is it's probably time for Coach Calipari to move on. His coaching style is he needs superstars. He's not a big X's and O's guy. Because last night they were settling for threes and they were killing Oakland inside. All they had to do was continue to go inside, but they decided, we'll go 3 for 3 against them, which didn't work. You see Carolina, I think they shot 5 3-pointers yesterday because they knew if they went inside, they would wear them out. And Coach Calipari just did not do that last night.
Yeah, Adrian, I mean, listen, also, UNC was going up against a team that only had 7 players on the roster and a big height advantage. But you're right. Cal, definitely not the X's and O's coach, baffling game plan. And let's also call it what it is. You literally had a guy on the other team set a record for 3-pointers made. That dude couldn't miss.
But they kind of locked them up in the second half. They basically had... like they were playing a box and one.
Yeah.
But like I said, they just did not make any adjustments at halftime to just go inside and get them in foul trouble. The biggest guy Oakland had, I think, was 6'7". The two big guys on Kentucky are 6'10" and 7 foot. You got to wear them down inside. But we're so in love with the 3-pointers nowadays. So hey,
and this was the best 3-point shooting team in the history of Kentucky basketball.
They hit some bombs late in the game to keep it even close. I wondered the same thing. Why don't they every time they go down low, it's a layup.
Yeah, right.
It was weird, but then again, a big function of this is the 3-point line just makes parity in college basketball. And it's been like that for 10 years, but now it's more than ever. With this guy yesterday, just could not miss.
But that's the other thing, too.
Adrian, thank you for the phone call, dude. Good to hear from you.
That's the other thing, too, about Golke, because he was awesome last night. But this guy, this is what he does, okay? And I'm not saying he's going to always make 10 threes, but I think he's taking like 30 2-pointers all season.
I think it's 8.
Or maybe it's less than that. Like
8 2-pointers all year long.
This guy, this is all he does. How does he come in and he's getting rhythm looks immediately? Now, eventually he's okay, let's face guard him, let's pick him up full court. How is that not plan A? How is that not your plan A? And how is their plan A to say, hey, we're going to go zone, and they don't have to make any adjustment?
To me, that was the problem.
Figure that out.
That was Kentucky's first. Golke didn't score much in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Right.
The other guys stepped up. The fact
DQ, how about that guy? What a cool name.
Yeah, the fact that wasn't there a guy named Rebel or something? There was a guy, the point guard. There was another guard who had a great name. Oakland's awesome. But the fact that they couldn't solve it wasn't that complicated a zone. It looked like Kentucky had no idea what to do against it.
Shaheen Holloway did the exact same thing to them 2 years ago. You had 2 years to come up with this game plan to fix this, and you still haven't figured out how to do a zone. John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins lost because they couldn't figure out a zone. That's 12 years ago. We're still dealing with this. We're still dealing with this, Coach Cal. Really? Come on.
This is why you want to get rid of him. 855-212-4CBS. I say not yet. 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we are going to get more into the Shohei Ohtani controversy. Reporters are all over this, including The Athletic. So we are going to get some more in-depth from some boots on the ground reporting on Shohei Ohtani. Also, Perloff is king for a day.
Yeah.
So there's only one victim left.
Oh, Peter Schwartz. By the way, Rocket Watts was the guy I was talking about, not Rebel.
Rocket Watts is a cool name.
Yeah, Oakland just had way too many cool players here.
Trey Townsend was cool. His dad was there as the photographer, right? And then DQ
that
Cole
was awesome.
Hit the 3-pointer in the corner. That was like, oh man, they're going to win.
That seemed lucky to me, but that was incredible. That being said, now they play my guy DJ Burns at NC State. The two probably most lovable teams in this entire tournament. One of them has to go home. Sad.
Well, speaking of lovable, what is this going to look like? Our next break. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Apparently, Peter Schwartz is going to sing and dance the Macarena next. If you are not by a computer, we will describe this to you in the complete accuracy with all the details that you're going to need. Theater of the mind, people. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, this has been such a great week so far. It's March Madness. Just sit on your couch, watch basketball all night. That's all I am doing this weekend. We're going to get crazy rain, Maggie. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch my bracket go up in flames. But I won the Maggie and Perloff Day 1 contest, had the most W's. So I'm king for a day here. And that means that I've gotten to make everybody either sing or read embarrassing lyrics from our one-hit wonders. By the way, the one-hit wonder tournament going on all month long. That's going to be super exciting as well. But Maggie, of course, you did a dramatic reading of Who Let the Dogs Out.
Who? I heard a woman shout out, ha, ha, ha.
EJ did made a bad song in Ice Ice Baby considerably worse. Quite a feat.
Ever stop?
And,
I don't know. Turn off the lights and now glow to the extreme. I rock a mic and like a vandal, light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance.
And then, of course, we all knew this. Pete Bellotti is just too sexy.
I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. The new title of his 15th book, after What's the Matter with You People, What's Wrong with Everybody, and How Dare You?
Yes.
We get a departure. You know, it's like when someone writes under a pseudonym and they want to write a different kind of story. This is when we get Pete Bellotti writing, I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Well, we get some kids books in there as well.
Yes, try I'm too sexy for my shirt as a kid's book. We're going to put you on a list somewhere. You have to introduce yourself to your neighbors.
I gave Peter Schwartz doing the updates. I actually gave him a choice between 99 Luftballons in German. I could go 500 miles. I don't know what the 500 mile song is called.
Yeah, the Proclaimers. Yeah.
But Pete chose Macarena, and not only did he choose it, he was thrilled, excited, exhilarated to do Macarena.
Everyone does. It's a one-hit wonder. But we were told you were also going to be dancing and singing. So you'd like to...
Well, I didn't say I would dance. I said I'd like to dance to it. But
that's pretty much in the radio industry saying, I'm about to dance.
You're begging us to let you dance here.
Do you have the lyrics in front of you?
I do not.
Okay, I do.
Are we going to give him a little musical accompaniment? Do we have it?
Okay. No, you're going to have to acapella this. I mean...
And dance?
I don't know. You can't dance. You can't dance and be on mic.
Do the hand signal.
The hand signals, right?
Okay, then after we'll do this for social and you'll do it for real.
Okay.
By the way...
And I have to do this in Bane's voice?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Of course.
There's a lot going on. Perloff is king for a day. He's making all of us do silly things. Peter Schwartz is the last person who has to do something, and it's doing the Macarena in Bane's voice with the arm movements. The floor is yours, sir.
This was awful years ago.
No excuses.
This is be terrible.
No. Sing.
If you're on YouTube right now, that his face really is that red. You are completely red right now.
Macarena has a boyfriend who they call by the name of Vittorino, and when he say I can't sing and
keep going.
The same thing.
Go.
Let me start it over again.
Okay.
Please don't.
Macarena has a boyfriend who they call by the name of Vittorino, and when he left to sign up for the army, she was giving it away to his two friends. Macarena has a boyfriend who they call by the name of Vittorino, and when he left to sign up for the army, she was giving it away to his two friends. Give a little loving to your body, Macarena, 'cause your body's made for love and feeling good. It's a no-brainer. Give a little loving to your body, Macarena. Hey, Macarena.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
What
Bravo.
Wow.
You Arnold Schwarzenegger a little at the end. Get to the jump, Macarena. Well done. I also didn't know that Macarena was a song about sex.
I kind of knew
Every
that.
song is, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. There were Spanish lyrics and English lyrics. The Spanish lyrics would have been good too, but I didn't think you could handle that.
No. Sometimes I can't handle English.
Well done, Peter.
Thank
and now
you. Great
Perloff
job.
is, you are no longer king for a day, or do you want to hold on to this for the
We'll
next
see what
half
I
an
can
hour?
come up with in the next half. We have a guest coming up. I can make him sing something.
Yeah. Congrats,
maybe
Sam. You got 99
Mambo
love
number
balloons.
5.
It's raining men.
It's raining men.
Yeah.
By the way, that was high. I don't even know if that's in our bracket, but that was considered.
And now you're going to have to, do Aha, Take On Me.
But Take On Me, I don't know if that's embarrassing enough. That's actually a decent song, unlike most of these one-hit wonders.
Wow. Peter Schwartz, bravo.
Yeah,
Any
good
headlines
job.
for us?
We'll just hit one here because I know we're up against the clock. Let's start with the big dance. We'll tip off in the East region.
Watts with 10 to shoot. Shovels that pass back out to Wells. Wells back to Watts. He'll launch a 3 on the right wing. And he hits! Oh, the freshman from deep on the right wing. 61-59. Cougars their first lead since 45 seconds into the second half.
That was Kevin Kugler on the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. Number 7, Washington State beat Drake. Number 10, 66-61. Isaac Jones, 20 points, 11 boards. South region, number 3, Kentucky, upset by number 14, Oakland, 80-76. Kentucky head coach John Calipari summing up the loss.
We had some guys that didn't play the way they'd been playing all year. We did everything we could. We knew the zone would be tough, but we missed shots we don't miss. And, the preparation, I thought they were in a great, trying to keep them loose, but when the game started, you had some guys not play to the level they could play.
Calipari, courtesy of CBS.
Really taking the accountability there. Say, hey, I had them ready to play. They just missed shots.
Jack Golke led Oakland with 32 points, including 10 3-pointers. Let me skip ahead to the NBA from last night. And once again, let's listen to our friend Andrew Bogusch.
He finds Dennis Smith Jr. off the right wing, across the lane, and Lillard stripped him. Lillard leads the break. Beasley spots up. Corner 3. And a shimmy shake out of that corner from Malik Beasley as the Bucks push the lead to 5.
Okay, now this is all well and good. Bogusch sounds great doing the Nets-Bucks game. He's a consummate pro. I'm a little bummed, though, even though, Peter, that was an excellent rendition of the Macarena in Bane's voice. We could have had Bogusch doing, like, Stacy's mom or something. Now he's out here calling Dame Lillard highlights like a pro.
Does him being away doing the Nets game abstain him?
It's a great
from
question
this?
because if we're actually going to the scoreboard, he's in last place of the people on the show. So I don't know if that would have put him in play for any additional torture.
So he
moments,
loves Dave Matthews Band. So who's the opposite of Dave Matthews Band to make him sing? Something like
heavy metal.
Well, Funky Town's doing really well.
Katrina and the Waves.
Yeah. He's not walking on sunshine in any way. He's not a happy song guy. Don't worry, be happy.
Whoop, there it is.
Yeah.
We really could have had some good ones for
I mean,
Bogusch.
honestly, the punishment for him should have been having me sing one of his favorite Dave Matthews Band songs.
EJ doing Crash would be worth the price of admission. Oh my God!
That is happening at some point.
That would maybe kill him.
Do you know any Dave Matthews songs?
Absolutely not.
It doesn't matter if EJ knows the song or not. They both come out the same. Sorry, EJ.
Oh, yeah.
I did have the thought, why is Bogusch slumming with us? That was such a good call.
I know. Don't say it. Someone's going to hire him.
Yeah,
Shush.
we're going to stop playing those Bogusch clips. They're too good.
Basically playing a resume tape for the guy. We need that dude. Peter, thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic
Very nice to see
job.
everybody.
Great to see you. Great job doing the Macarena to Bane's voice.
Baby got back for Bogusch. That'd be great.
But is that the opposite of Dave Matthews? I feel like Dave Matthews would cover that maybe.
There's Baby Got Back works. It's a very versatile song. Any situation. Yeah.
Any situations? What?
Funerals? A christening, a funeral. If that starts playing, everyone starts sort of bopping along and smiling. That's how it works.
It's always good to say, my anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
How can you not smile when that lyric comes out?
Well, here we go. Is there, are we here? No, not yet. Okay. We're gonna
Thankfully, our guests did not have to hear that.
All right, well, let's transition as easily as we can from us doing punishments, because Perloff is king for a day, to a very serious unfolding story, which is the Shohei Ohtani gambling story. And Sam Blum covers baseball for The Athletic and has covered the Angels for The Athletic, and he is on top of this Shohei story. Sam, thanks so much for the time. I know it's very early where you are, so thank you for getting up for us.
Of course, happy to.
So, Sam, okay, a lot to unpack here with Shohei Ohtani, his translator, Ipe Mizuhara, who's now has implicated himself in this gambling this illegal bookmaker who's now getting busted. We know the gambling debts are massive. The big question, did Shohei Ohtani float money to Mizuhara willingly, or did Mizuhara potentially steal that money from Shohei Ohtani? But quickly, the relationship between Shohei and Mizuhara, you've covered the Angels. How would you describe the relationship between superstar player and translator?
I would say there's just a lot of reliance, on Shohei Ohtani's part for his interpreter. I mean, I would say that interpreter is really maybe like the loosest term for what I would call Ipe. I mean, he really was, he was like his driver. He bought his groceries. He's basically his coach in a lot of ways, bringing out scouting reports mid-game. They would work out before games, he'd play catch, throw plyo balls against the wall like that. Shohei really operated in his own world and a lot of times when it came to, preparing for games. So there was always just Ipe with him. The entire team really communicated to Shohei through Ipe. So it was, this was a really reliant relationship. And I'll be curious to see exactly, beyond the whole scandalous nature of this, just for Ohtani and this massive contract that he signed with the Dodgers, this is someone that was a huge part of everything that he did. And so it's not just as simple as losing an interpreter. I think there will be, it'll be a huge hole for him, as he, navigates the, baseball in a lot of ways. Probably more prepared for it now than he was a couple of years ago, but it's still something to look for. And obviously, there's, beyond that, there's a lot of other questions when it comes to the possible legal, issues here and Ohtani's potential culpability, and that, there's still a lot of answers that we don't know. A lot of questions we don't know the answers to.
Sam, you interviewed probably Ipe many, many times in Los Angeles. Do you have any sense of his character? Were you shocked? Who knows what actually happened, but were you shocked to read that he was involved with something like this? Because he struck me as quite popular.
Yeah, he really, and I think he was and he is still, it's not necessarily a referendum on his character or anything. It's, to me, he was a great person to deal with and very friendly and, good interpreter, and I had no issues on that front. I think that type of relationship is fairly baseline, so you don't really know exactly what somebody's dealing with or, what they're possibly mixed up in at all times. I think nothing really shocks me, to be honest with you, and I don't necessarily, I guess to some extent this is really surprising, $4.5 million in gambling debt. I don't know how somebody gets in that much debt as an interpreter, but still it's, it's shocking, and it's surprising, and I couldn't say I telegraphed this coming, and, I'd have a hard time believing there are many that could, but if you know Ipe and you know that he's a gambler, maybe it's more possible to, see coming.
Sam Blum is joining us. He is a baseball writer for The Athletic, covering the Angels, so obviously knows about Shohei Ohtani and the relationship between him and his translator, Ipe Mizuhara, who's now in a lot of hot water from both the feds and the IRS. Everyone's investigating bets he made allegedly with a legal bookmaker. We'll just have a lot more to unpack after that. Sam, we've all been around sports a lot, so sometimes guys who English is not their first language, it doesn't mean they can't speak the language. They just don't feel comfortable doing that in front of the media, but behind closed doors, we know they actually do speak English rather well. This has happened quite a bit. Does Shohei Ohtani actually speak English, or what level of English does he actually speak, not just what he presents to the media?
I think he speaks, from my understanding, he speaks fairly, I think like you said, he speaks very, I don't know if it's fluent, but it's very good English. He always, whenever you're asking him a question, he's usually nodding along, he understands what you're asking. And at times I think he's done a couple more, he had a speech at the BBW, Baseball Writers Dinner to accept his MVP award. I think that was back in December or January. And he accepted and had a speech in English. I think he's done a couple more interviews in English recently. So he's become a little bit more comfortable speaking English. I don't necessarily think that the language, barrier is going to be the biggest transition for him without Ipe. I think it's going to be all the other things that Ipe kind of did to kind of, coddle him in a lot of ways. But he's still going to need, if he still feels more comfortable with an interpreter, they're going to have to find somebody, that can do that for him, because he's in demand for communication, and if that's what he feels most comfortable, then they're going to have to find some sort of solution here. yeah, I mean, he speaks pretty good English. I mean, I think that you can keep a pretty solid conversation going with him, but everything he says gets parsed so much by the world that watches his every word. So he needs to feel comfortable with what he's saying, actually being interpreted correctly.
Yeah, we ain't seen nothing yet if he's going to be eventually maybe involved in an investigation. So here's the way I asked that question is not so much about the baseball side moving forward, but let's say that Ohtani's camp is going to say maybe he was duped, right? Like maybe he didn't know where the wire transfers were going. Maybe he didn't understand what was happening. Considering you're telling us he does speak English, would that be hard to believe for someone who actually knows Ohtani that he, not that he couldn't be duped, people can get duped, but that the language barrier would be the reason he could have been duped?
I don't know. It's hard for me to speculate on like what could have possibly. There's so many different iterations of what could be happening here. It could be anywhere from Ohtani being directly involved to him being duped to him being stolen from to him kind of being just like a good friend and doing something that he didn't realize was illegal and incredibly dumb. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities here. I don't know if it would be the language barrier. I think, if anything, it's more likely that Ipe was, this is just pure speculation, but I mean, Ipe did a lot for him, and managing his finances could have been part of that. So I don't know what exactly could have been, what could be the impetus for all this. I think there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. And really, I think that Shohei Ohtani is going to need to come out and answer questions at some point. He was, kind of blocked off by the Dodgers PR staff in their final game in Korea the other day. But at this point, I mean, he's a grown adult. This is his responsibility to kind of answer for this, whether that's with an interpreter or whether that's in English or whatever it is. This is something that he's going to have to talk about someone at some point soon.
Yeah, Sam, logistically, what's going to happen here? The Dodgers are coming back from Korea. I imagine the media crush is going to be unbelievable around the Dodgers right now. Are they going to make it? Do you have any knowledge? Are they going to make a statement, or what kind of strategy can the team take?
I mean, the Dodgers, I believe, had a brief statement about it, but I mean, the Dodgers so far, it's not always been smooth sailing with having Ohtani, be available at all times, but hopefully that they recognize that this is a significantly important, moment for him to address this, and he's responsible for addressing it in some capacity. I think it was reasonable for him to want to maybe take a beat the other day, but I mean, at this point, the Dodgers get back, they have a home game. Exhibition home game against the Angels on Sunday. I don't know what the situation will be with him being present or not, just given the long travel and it being an exhibition game. But we'll see. But the next time that he's at that ballpark, they can't wall him off for the rest of the season. I mean, he's gonna have to address this. He's been playing in games. I think that Major League Baseball, to some extent, is going to have to address this, whether that's and now take some sort of investigation or that they're looking into this. I mean, that's significant here too. So that there's a lot of people that are still going to need to get involved in this that just haven't yet, and right now it's just all speculation and all questions.
Yeah, Sam Blum's joining us from The Athletic, covers the Angels, covers baseball for The Athletic. So Major League Baseball, what are their options here? I mean, there's a lot to figure out, but what could be on the table, maybe best case scenario and worst case scenario? What could Ohtani be looking at?
I mean, I think at this point, like there's a legal process that's going to be playing out with this bookmaker, and I imagine that there's going to be some sort of investigation into whatever is being alleged by Ohtani's camp about Ipe. But I mean, if there's an investigation that takes place and it's a federal investigation of some kind, I mean that would take precedent. I think Major League Baseball needs to look into this. I don't know exactly what Ohtani could be looking at. There's some precedent for players. I think like Jared Cosart was suspended for some sort of gambling situation. I don't know if it's like completely related to what Ohtani's dealing with. This is somewhat unprecedented. So I think that Major League and gambling in and of itself is a more modern problem in the game, and or at least concern for problems in the game. And you want to root it out. Especially with these offshore like bookmakers and even like FanDuel and DraftKings and stuff like that. So there's a lot of concerns, I think, but I don't know exactly what the punishment Ohtani could be looking at. It really depends on what his culpability is and what they find, and then if there is culpability, I imagine it can range from anywhere from a fine to a suspension to something more serious than that. So we'll have to let that play out. I wouldn't want to speculate too much on exactly what he's looking at.
Sam, sorry, 30 seconds left. Sure. You covered Ohtani with the Angels, so you understand him and his relationship with Mizuhara, his translator. There's everyone's got one part of this story that just seems inexplicable. Like, to me, it's how could Ohtani put his name on the wire transfers? That just makes no sense. Ohtani, Mizuhara, you're there covering him day to day. Is there one part of this story that you just can't get past? Like, what's the one thing that's hanging you up that you find most fascinating?
I just wouldn't. I have a hard time believing that this would. I mean, this is my own belief. Like that, Ipe Mizuhara would just like steal money from this guy. I mean, Ohtani is like responsible for everything in this guy's life, and he seems genuinely very humbled by that. Like, and I'm a pretty cynical person, and even just being around Ipe, like you could tell this really was like something that he found surreal in his life. I think gambling debts could possibly, change somebody's perspective and utilize every, addicts, tend to hurt the people they love most. But I mean, still, I have a hard time believing that this is just a complete, theft and betrayal. But we'll see. We'll see. It's interesting.
Sam, thank you so much. Sam Blum from The Athletic, covering the Angels and baseball. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right.
Wow, that Angels-Dodgers preseason game on Sunday is going to be bananas. I mean, we all hate the fact that the Dodgers already have 2 games on the books and are going back to spring training. But, I mean, Shohei against the Angels is already a storyline, and now you got all this. Even if he doesn't show up, every teammate's going to have to answer 1,000 questions.
Absolutely crazy. Coming back, we have the top 5 moments from the Maggie and Perloff show from the week. Something tells me some of our singing may make the list. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's been a big week on Maggie and Perloff. Here are the week's top 5 moments at 5 after.
Or at 48 after. Things happen. News breaks. Kentucky loses. Shohei Ohtani gets wrapped up in gambling scandals. And sometimes the 5 after has to move to a different segment, and that's what's happening today. Top 5 moments from the Maggie and Perloff show from the week.
It's 5 after somewhere, Maggie.
That's what they say.
As they say.
Yeah, sounds like a song. Number 5, EJ with a challenge to a rival show, fellow show. We don't really rival them. A fellow show on CBS Sports Network. Maybe a little game of dodgeball?
We should be a team that has to face another show. I think we should face the Zach Gelb show. I'm putting it out there right now.
Yeah.
I want smoke with Zach Gelb.
Smart.
I want smoke with Stu. I want smoke with Rich Ackerman. I want smoke with Samter.
Rich Ackerman,
Samter's
how dare you.
I'll take an elimination to hit Samter in the head.
There you go. Got to work out the details of that. Never heard anyone come for Rich Ackerman before. But EJ did. Okay.
First time for everything.
Number 4, we talked to our pal Nick Costos about from You Better You Bet, how to fill out your bracket. But the trash talk went, of course, to Perloff's Eagles and Nick's New York Giants.
You are welcome to your incorrect opinions. I got way too much going on to get angry about that 2 months after the fact. Well, Perloff, you got bigger fish to fry now. Like, you just overpaid your favorite team, a running back who's going to play in like 9 games this season, buddy. So congratulations on that.
There you go. Well, Saquon Barkley, trash talk from Nick Costos.
Costos and I have constant beef.
Don't like that. He's kind of really angry in that clip.
No, that's just how he talks.
He's mad. He's mad about some other stuff because I keep making fun of him backing Dan Campbell. There's history here. This goes way back.
It does go way back to a couple months ago.
Yeah, true.
Number 3 on the list of the best moments of the week from the Maggie and Perloff show. How do we leave out our pal Andrew Bogish calling NBA games? This is what it sounds like.
He finds Dennis Smith Jr. off the right wing, across the lane, and Lillard stripped him. Lillard leads the break. Beasley spots up. Corner 3. And a shimmy shake out of that corner from Malik Beasley as the Bucks push the lead to 5.
Guys, no more promoting Andrew Bogish. Someone's going to hear this. He's going to leave us, and he's going to go get an NBA play-by-play job somewhere. What are we doing?
Is his head going to be too big when he comes in on Monday? Is he going to fit through here? I'm just worried we're not going to be able to make fun of Bogish.
It's going to be tough. All right. Number 2 of the best moments of the Maggie and Perloff show from the week. Jordan Cornette, former Notre Dame basketball player, now calling games on Westwood One, actually was part of the call last night. Kentucky gets upset by Oakland, but he joined us earlier in the week. And he does no love for the NIT tournament.
Are you guys filling out your NIT bracket? Who do you guys have in the Final Four? Which team do you guys like? Is everybody talking about the NIT? Of course they're not. It's a loser's tournament. When was the last time you've gone back to a college basketball team that has not even rich in tradition, but some tradition, do they bring out at halftime the NIT champion from 1992?
That's brutal.
As I said, my alma mater will. GW won the NIT a couple years ago. Those people are getting immortalized. And the number one moment for the Maggie and Perloff show this week. Now, you would think Perloff was king for a day today, so he got to make us do silly things. And he had EJ singing and Pete singing and me reading a dramatic interpretation of Who Let the Dogs Out. Peter Schwartz did the Macarena in Bane's voice. But the number one moment of the Maggie and Perloff show is actually Perloff himself trying to sing one of our one-hit wonders.
I don't think people knew Got to Be Real when you sing it. You're like, oh, I know that song. But Got to Be Real itself. Got to be... Oh, no. I don't remember. Got to be real. I don't even remember how it goes.
Sing it.
Hey, to be fair, can you guys sing Got to Be Real?
Nope.
You were giving me crap for Ice Ice Baby.
Well,
Everyone
EJ,
knows Ice Ice
bad.
Baby. Nobody knows Got to Be Real.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, Ice Ice Baby is one of the all-time hits. Got to Be Real is not in the same league as that.
Well, the
All
problem
right,
is-
sing it, EJ. Sing, let's hear Got to Be Real.
No, we can't do any more EJ singing. The thing is all of these songs are one-hit wonders, and we played them recently. So it doesn't matter if you know it or you don't know it. We had just played it.
We played Got to Be Real the other day. Tell me who sang Got to Be Real, if you could do that.
Oh, I don't
Lori
remember.
Lynn?
Somebody.
Wow, you were close. Cheryl Lynn. I've never heard of that person, which makes a great one-hit wonder.
You're not. You can't. You can't know the. You can't know the artist on a really good one.
Yeah, if you know the artist, then it's controversial because they might not be. I mean, you're telling me Criss Cross had, I swear they were huge for a while. The backwards pants, does that count as a hit?
If it's a cultural phenomenon too.
Yeah,
Backwards
yeah,
clothes. It's genius marketing. Wow. A lot of singing on this show this week.
So are you guys nervous about your bracket? Like if Auburn loses to Yale today, I'm toast. I might be toast already, but I feel like there's a lot of perilous bracket stuff going on today.
The Kentucky loss just crushed me yesterday.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, but everybody had Kentucky, so I don't think that's going to kill you. What if UConn goes down?
But then that's the death nail.
I looked at the Perloff bracket. They're 70% of people have UConn, all Huskies. So it's going to be big. I can't wait.
Wow. This has been a really good one. This has been a great week. Lots going on. So many, many, many thank yous to EJ Stewart, who again has so many gifts. Singing Ice Ice Baby, not one of them.
Singing anything.
Pete Pilati is too sexy for his shirt. Thank you to Peter Schwartz, to Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. You guys are the best. We will see you on Monday. Enjoy the madness.
Macarena has boyfriend who they call by the name of Vitorino.
You're in a 5-minute break.